And then the video as well. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. The Architecture Review Committee, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Member Dillon?
Here.
Member Castro?
Here.
Member Thompson is absent. Member Elliott?
Here.
Member Roseman?
Here.
Member Thomas is not here. Vice Chair Walsh?
Here.
And Chair O'Donnell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Could we have a report of the posting of the agenda?
Yes, the agenda for this meeting was made available for public access at the City Hall exterior bulletin board on the west side of the council chamber and at the planning services counter at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 11th, 2026.
All right, thank you. Acceptance of the agenda. Do we need a roll call on that?
Yes, is there anybody who wants to take anything different or out of order on the agenda?
Agenda.
Okay, then
Okay,
yes, we
seeing
can
none.
take a motion and-
Any opposed? None opposed. Carries unanimous.
Very good.
Public comments at this time has been set aside for members of the public to address the Architectural Review Committee on consent calendar and other agenda items and items of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee. Although the Architectural Review Committee values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. You will have 3 minutes. And Mr. Lyon, if there's an item on the agenda, folks will be able to speak.
That's correct. And I just asked the audience here in the room if anybody was wanting to speak on anything other than what's on the agenda. And everybody here is interested in speaking on an agenda item.
Okay.
We have, I think, somebody in, or some people in the Zoom room. And I think they are all here to speak on an item. Is there anybody in the Zoom meeting who wishes to speak on something other than what's on the agenda? If so, please raise your hand. We're not seeing any.
Okay. Moving on to item 1, consent calendar. The following routine matters may be acted upon by one motion. Individual items may be removed by the committee for separate discussion at this time. So we have 1A, approval of the minutes from January 21st, 2026. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second.
Who was the second? Oh, thank you.
Dylan? Any opposed? Okay, carries unanimous. Excluded from the consent calendar. So we move on to 2, unfinished business. And I've got a conflict on item 2A, so I will be recusing myself, and Member Walsh will be handling the meeting on item 2A.
Very good.
Okay.
Take it away, Member Walsh.
Do we have a staff report?
Why don't you go ahead and read the matter into the record, and then we'll do the staff report.
Will do. And that would be the summary, I take it here.
Correct.
On December 2nd, 2025, the Architectural Review Committee.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Just read the agenda. A request by Zachary Green.
Okay. A request by Zachary Green of 100 Mile House on behalf of the property owner, Signe and James Sterner, for a major architectural application to construct a 2,350 square foot single-family residence on a .71 acre hillside lot and an administrative minor modification application to allow for a height increase and 10-foot front yard setback on the parcel located on the corner of Cahuilla Hills Drive, Zone R1A, APN number 513-430-024, case number AR 2025-0091 and AMM 2025-0014. And Alex?
And nope, Member Blocker will do the staff report. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Alex will give us the staff
Thank you.
report.
So on December 2nd, the ARC reviewed the applicant's request for the approval of a major architectural application for a new single-family residence and detached garage and ADU on Hillside Lot. Oh, sorry, I'm going too fast. So just a little bit of a background to refresh our memory. The project site sits on a corner lot on Cahuilla Hills Drive, highlighted above, which has street frontages on 3 sides. The slope analysis shows the area in white with a slope of less than 30%, the area in red with a slope of greater than 30%, and the area in green with a slope that has also greater than 30% but been previously disturbed. So this photo is just illustrating the project site in its current condition as viewed from the street looking northwest. And above is a proposed project as initially submitted with renderings on the right. So the applicant was directed at that meeting to provide a massing diagram that would indicate the potential of a split-level building and to provide sun studies to see how the building would impact the neighbor to the north and its solar panels. As far as existing conditions go, the photos on the top left show the project site in relation to the house on the north and how it sits. I believe it's 8 feet lower. So as requested, a massing diagram was provided. The proposed site plan in section is shown on the left, and the stepped massing diagram is shown on the right. You can see in the section drawings below that the views from both the proposed and step buildings will limit the views from the adjacent neighbor to the same degree. As far as the initially proposed residence, that house sits at 19 feet 4 inches with the approval of an AMM application, and the stepped house sits at 18 feet at the highest point. The massing diagram for the proposed and step buildings were also imposed onto the subject site to show that the view is not compromised. Sun studies were prepared for the proposed building and step building. Overall, the sun studies show that there is a roughly an equivalent impact on the neighboring house during the winter solstice time, whether the house is stepped or built as proposed. So basically what the sun studies have shown is that there isn't a significant difference either way. Additionally, the impacts were presented and memorialized to the property owner on the north, who has indicated that he supports the project as initially proposed and doesn't have any interest in having the applicant move his solar panels. Regardless, the applicant is proposing additional landscape in the areas between the retaining walls. Kind of hard to see. How do you highlight?
You can't.
Oh, you can't, okay. So
You have to walk up and point it out.
got it. So they're proposing additional landscape in the areas between the retaining walls just to further soften the massings, not just there.
Can you run that back just a minute, Alex, to that previous section so we can kind of point that out to them?
Yes.
Yeah, so the area that they're talking about adding the additional landscaping is here?
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Here or here, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. And just for reference, this is the street view with the proposed single-family residence, or I'm sorry, the residence and this, the residence as steps, so continuation of the massing diagram. The recommendation is that based on the findings in the staff report, staff recommends the Architecture Review Committee approve the application subject to the attached conditions of approval. That concludes my report, and the applicant is available to answer any questions.
Questions of staff? I do, please.
Just to clarify, are there 2 proposals, one with the stepped and one that's the original proposal?
So there's only one proposal, it's the initial proposal.
Okay.
The applicant was just responding to AR3's previous comments to show what the potential could be if it was stepped.
Any other?
Yep, so are we approving one or the other, or are we approving both?
Just initially the first one.
The one on the,
The one on the
The
left.
one that's being recommended or proposed by the applicant.
Correct.
Is the one that you saw on the left. The massing study, which is the one on the right, was the one that was requested by the ARC
Got
at
it.
its last meeting.
okay.
And I have a couple questions, Alex, that I think might kind of clarify that for us. So as I look at the applicant's justification letter, the section on page 9, that remains the same, correct? The sections as they were presented last time.
Yes, I believe nothing's changed.
Oh, okay, so, all right, and then, but there still is the request for a 10-foot setback at the front.
Correct.
All right, so all these things that it came in with requesting before are still the same?
Yes.
With no change to the building massing?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here to present? Would you come forward and give us your name and address and?
Hello, my name is Zachary Green. I am the applicant on behalf of the homeowners, James and Signa Sterner.
And I'm Dwayne Smith, the owner of Hunter Valley House.
So, thank you, Alex, for running us through that. I think one big point from Alex's presentation is that we did a solar study and we determined that no matter if it was a stepped project at a 7.5-foot difference in elevation from what we were proposing, or if it was the project that we were proposing, there's a negligible difference in the impact on the neighbor's solar facilities. So all this information was presented to that neighbor and memorialized in a letter. And we also offered to move their solar if they wanted us to, and they chose not to act on that. So I guess setting that aside, when it comes to the building height considerations that we were asked to study, there are 3 specific points that we believe the step massing, there are 3 points that we believe make the step massing not an ideal massing to pursue. So the first is the owner intends to age in place, and despite, we recognize that there is a challenge in aging in place in a hillside lot, but this is a desire of this owner. So if we were to step the massing and adhere to the existing manufactured pads that exist on this site, it's not a native site. It's a previously disturbed vacant piece of land currently. That's going to create about 7.5-foot delta between floor levels in this project, which would mean that the owner would have to walk down about 15 steps to get to their bedroom. At that delta, we would need to add an elevator or a lift to accommodate reasonable aging in place accommodations. So all of that is just going to make the project larger, which already has been kept fairly modest for what could be done on this site. Second idea here is we have designed and programmed this site with 3 detached structures. So a main residence, a detached 4-car garage, and a detached ADU. And the intention behind having the detached garage primarily was that it afforded us the ability to have a motor court. So this is a really tight, winding street in a hillside area with several blind corners and really very limited opportunity for street parking. So by having the motor court and also 2 additional parking spots near the ADU that are off-street, we are not adding any additional parking load to the site itself. We are also not creating a condition where there is a garage doors facing the street directly. So there's not necessarily a condition where a car is blindly backing out onto the street because we have this motor court. If we adhere to these manufactured pads that exist on the property currently, that's going to increase the slope of our driveway. And we have positioned the apron of this driveway so that it is at the apex of one of the larger turns on Quia Hills Drive. And that apex lands at the widest part of the street because there's a private driveway. I think Alex might be able to show us. Might be even the site.
Maybe in the site plan, Alex.
Yeah. So it's a really tight street, and there's a really, I guess, the most severe blind corner if you're exiting the driveway. And this plan would be to the plan right. So directly opposite our apron here, there's another private driveway, and there's kind of this 3-sided intersection. So this not only creates a safer exit from the property, it also gives a bit more privacy to the main residence itself. And if we increase the slope of the driveway, we're also increasing the approach angle that a car would have as it exits that driveway, which, you know, creates a condition where it makes it difficult to see. So there's two solutions to that we see. One is either, well, they both require lengthening the driveway itself. So that's either going to be moving the garage further north, which is going to further impact the neighbor's solar, or we reposition the apron so that it's further south, which moves it more into the blind corner, which is the downslope turn, and further away from this widest part of the street itself. So those both don't seem necessarily beneficial to the neighborhood or to the northern neighbor themselves. Our third point is if we adhere to that lower northern pad, our garage structure and really any roof structure at a modest roof height, we're not proposing 15-foot ceilings here, this is 9-foot ceilings. Our roof fascia ends up about 5 feet above the nearest adjacent street point, which I think Alex can probably pull in here.
It's a little slow.
It's slow.
Takes-
So that basically means that, you know, anyone at a 5-foot height, 6-foot height is looking directly at the fascia of the roof. But further, as you drive by, you're looking over this whole roofscape. I know there were some concerns earlier on about seeing the solar panels that we are going to be locating on our garage feature itself. So if you see on that right version of the stepped massing, that roof plane is just 5 feet above the adjacent street slope. In our proposed massing, we're 8 feet, which is a bit more human scaled. As you drive by, you're not going to be looking over the roof. And further, at the end of the cul-de-sac, it's a bit, which I think we also have that end of cul-de-sac view as well. You know, you are still going to be looking down on roof, but not quite as much as you would be otherwise. So to the benefit of the neighborhood as a whole, the step massing doesn't seem to create that nice of an experience as you drive by. Now those are our objective points on why we don't think the step massing works. Subjectively, the architecture that is possible with the step massing is a different architecture from what we're proposing. There are neighbors, I guess there are members of the neighborhood that have commented positively on this project, and there's even members in this board that commented positively on the architecture that has been proposed. So it's not to say that you couldn't create something different with the step massing, but it's not the intent or the desire of what our owner has. Additionally, the step massing further emphasizes this disturbed site. It's not natural. And adhering to a manufactured slope it seems to be a little arbitrary in some ways. It creates a condition where it reads as a 2-story house, and it also has a greater vertical presence on the site than what we're proposing. There's been a lot of care taken to design the approach of this house as you drive around the bend of Cahuilla Hills Drive to give this feeling that the site itself is responding to the rise of the street. So we don't know what the original existing terrain was, but there's been some intention behind designing that experience to feel natural for the existing condition today. Additionally, we haven't programmed any public space on the northern side of the site. I know there were some concerns in the last hearing about, you know, being able to look down into that neighbor's house, or just in general, the view from the cul-de-sac to the north side of the property is very public. In this configuration, this is an island site. It's got Cahuilla Hills Drive on all 3 sides of it. So to create a sense of privacy, we're using this feature rock that's kind of this anchor of the project as the backdrop for which we are locating our public space. So we have the anchor rock on one side and the house on the other side, and that's where our pool deck is. You can't see it from the street, which is to the benefit of both, you know, the public and also the homeowner themselves. There is only one window that looks to the north on this project as designed, and it looks into the primary bathroom. So there's a privacy concern going both ways there. But as it stands, the angle at which you would see into that from the neighbor to the north is so steep that it's not too much of a concern on our end. But all that to say, we've intentionally programmed this site in a way to both respond to how it will be experienced from the neighborhood, but also meeting the needs of our owner as well.
Questions of the applicant? Please.
Bathroom window facing the house on the north. Is it a clear glass, or is it a fritted glass, or is there some privacy application to it? Or is this going to be a window that will need some sort of screening on it from the inside?
We've discussed potentially frosting part of it, maybe even making the upper portion of it inoperable and keeping it fixed down below. But as it stands, yeah, I mean, the intent here is that it would have some kind of a treatment to it to obscure.
Can we see it in plan?
Do we have a floor plan?
No, I can pull one up here. I don't know if we have
I don't
one
think there's a
there.
floor plan in this
I
presentation.
think I provided it past the ending point in case we wanted to talk about it. So I just gotta find it.
Yes.
Right.
So the window actually is through the end of a corridor which runs through the whole axis of the house. So it's not into like a water closet or a shower, it's just into a space that's the kind of vestibule into the bathroom. So it's not necessarily as big a privacy issue as it might seem.
I should have clarified that, but this might be easier to see. So there's a main access that's the central corridor of circulation in the house, and at either end we have a window. In the case of the primary bathroom, we have a water closet on one side, and then the vanity and the showering facilities on the other. So you're not actually looking into the bathroom per se, you're more looking at the end of the hallway.
Okay, got it.
Hannah and Charles, can you see that?
Yeah. See it there too. I have a quick question. It looks like there's a row of existing palm trees, which I think is the north side of the property.
Yes.
Correct.
Are those to remain? Because they kind of appear and disappear in various images.
Yeah, they're hard to render when trying to pop it in, right? The intention is that they most likely will not remain based on the foundation work that we will be doing in that
I was
area.
wondering about that,
Yeah.
okay.
Where they're not native, we do have to add another wall in behind the existing retaining wall that builds part of our planter bed. So those are probably coming out.
And if I may clarify too, we didn't necessarily touch on this too in depth, but if we can go back to a floor plan would even suffice. So we discussed this in the last hearing, but we are essentially, so we're proposing a planter box in front of this retaining wall that we're using to elevate the motor court. And the original intention was to just break up the height of this retaining wall with planting to soften it. We are not proposing a change in the floor elevations in this round here. We are rather proposing that we further plant mature species, mature specimens in front of this wall to soften it. So I hate to keep asking Alex to jump us around here, but if you could go back to the cul-de-sac rendering.
It's just so slow. Sorry.
I saw you had 15-gallon creosote in there, I think is what you were showing, right?
That was the original
That was the
proposal,
original.
yeah.
We haven't updated the landscape plan based on this new rendering, but the intent is to plant more mature and more upland.
Okay.
Yeah.
To essentially just create this feeling of it's part of the slope
Yeah.
as much as we
With
can.
native plants, yeah.
Okay.
Bringing back in a lot of the native vegetation that's been removed with the manufactured site that's there now.
Then there's the slope away from the street towards the garage that doesn't appear to have any planting plan either.
Right,
Is that
it's very rocky right now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of exposed bedrock and other looser granite, and then there's a few small plants there. We intended to keep it fairly native until we blend into some ground cover that wraps around the south side of the garage. Yeah. We could certainly plant there. There'd be no harm in planting there, but.
I couldn't really tell exactly what was there, if there was rocks or what.
Right. It's, hard to tell in these, but because it's shaded by the garage, but to the right of the garage, there's a very dark area, and it's a lot of bedrock, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a condenser down there, so. that's
Yes.
kind of Also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anna, did you have anything?
No, I was just gonna say the rock that you see in that view was just sort of the star of the show.
Yeah.
So keeping that as the theme, I love that. I think that's great.
We've tried to keep it open so that as you drive around the site,
You can
there's
see
still
it.
see-through between the structures to see that rock from all the views, including from Leanne's house above. She's very, she's the one that looks down on the site the most, so we're really trying to keep the view open as much as possible, because the neighborhood has enjoyed seeing that rock for years, so.
I do have also studies that look at the view from the neighboring parcels as well. sort of show you the closest properties and how the view would be impacted from mostly the pool decks with these properties. So there's no screening of any of the mountainside. For the most part, it just is a bit of screening of the immediate neighborhoods at the base of the hill. One of the main considerations in the floor elevation is set on this project, and this actually was something that the original architect and the owner went out to the job site on a ladder and experimented with different heights. And there's a power line with a transformer on it that cuts just directly in front of the slope. So this floor elevation is essentially set to not be looking directly at the power line when you're sitting in the living room, while still respecting the view of the neighborhood. So the whole neighborhood still gets a view of the Coachella Valley and the opposing mountains. Bob Hope's house.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Just one quick one. If I'm not mistaken, in the original proposal, the area underneath the house at that north end was used for mechanical systems.
That's correct.
In this scenario with the stepped foundation, where do those go? The systems?
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily studied in depth, but it would have to be probably a larger roof package or more exposed mechanical equipment potentially. So by locating our equipment in that conditioned crawl space, we're able to thin up our roof packages and clean up the visibility of our roof planes.
Bob, sorry, you're referring to this massing study on the right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if you're setting the building down further into the grade,
Right.
the elements that are underneath it have to go somewhere.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you.
We do have a member in the
Yes.
audience that would like to speak, Lillian Gold.
You guys can sit back now. Thank you.
You want me to come up?
Please come up.
Please.
Yeah. State your name and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Leanne Gold, hello all, and I'm at 2429 Cahuilla Hills Drive. I will be brief. I'm a bit disappointed. There's no picture of my home at all. There's not a lot of consideration. I know they have some kind of specs on the view. I don't know if I didn't quite hear it correctly. Maybe they got on a ladder. I never was asked, could I come up? And I just mentioned, Dwayne, I wish you would have reached out to me. I'd like you to come and see what I see. I'm a little concerned. Am I going to be looking at a bunch of solar panels like right there? They say it's not affecting my view, but it's definitely affecting my view. This is what I look at. I am the house. There's no picture at all. And I'm the one that looks over this house. There's none of these other ones do. That's down below. Trina Turk's over to the right and hardly could see. There's nobody else except my home that overlooks this. And they haven't taken a moment. We're spending a lot of time addressing solar panels and different things, but the extra height, I mean, I'm just trying to, I'd like to have it as little footprint as possible, and it just seems like the home, my home, has gotten the least consideration. So I don't know what else I can say. I think you understand what I'm saying. But there's no image. None of the renderings even show a bit of my house, not even the driveway. I mean, and I am completely over it. It's the same, practically the same lot above it. So I don't know if it was intentional or it just doesn't matter, but it matters to me. So thank you for listening. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lyon, do we have anybody else?
Do we have anybody in the Zoom lounge that's wanting to speak on this item? If there's anybody in Zoom that wants to speak on this item, would you please raise your hand? No.
Then we'll consider closed to public discussion. And commissioners, let's hear your thoughts.
I would say that I think that I appreciate the applicants taking the time to do this study with the STEP Foundation. I don't think it adds to the project. I think the original design is better than the idea of the STEP Foundation because of the impact on the interior space, the impact on the site, the depression of the site where the garage would be located and that presentation to the street. So I appreciate doing that, and also the conversation with the neighbor at 2481 about their solar panels and taking a look at that study and getting their feedback on that. So I appreciate you taking the time to basically investigate the things that we talked about last time.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for the analysis, especially as you looked at the stepped option, the stepped massing. I kind of will repeat what I said the first time around, but I think it's well cited. I think that the design is great. I think it's designed, I believe, to have as minimal impact in terms of view or shade or shadow. You demonstrate that in your shade and shadow study, and I appreciate you talking to the neighbors regarding the solar. I just believe that the elevation and using this already disturbed site and the grading that's again already there is sensitive to that site while allowing you to have the home that you are designing. So I don't think that there's significant impacts in terms of view. It's an empty site now, and a home will be there, so there will be a building. I just don't think it's significant with surrounding neighbors.
Thank you.
I agree with both of your comments. I will say, if I was the owner above, I would want a visual. And I think that's easily done.
We have them actually, and Alex, I believe, sorry, can I speak? They might be in the presentation.
I don't know if those ones are, actually. Did you have them?
You have them right here.
Yeah.
That would be my only suggestion, is
Yeah.
you want friendly neighbors.
Yeah. We presented them last meeting as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we take a look at them?
Do you have them?
Yeah.
Do you want to bring them? You can come.
So, well, yeah, so these are three visuals looking at the three adjacent properties. So this would be, can we actually pull the site plan?
Yeah.
Maybe, or I guess the site aerial might be easier.
Thanks.
There's no laser pointer, right?
No.
Okay.
You have to
But
go
you
up
could
to
stand
the
up there,
Okay.
like, eventually.
old school, up to the screen.
Perfect, that's, yeah. So I'll bring this back closer, but this is rendered from this house, and then the next one over is, yeah, this one. So these three properties, this top image is directly behind. This image in the middle is from this house, and then this bottom image is from here. And these are all mostly rendered from these two pool decks, and then roughly the finished floor elevation of this house, as best as I could.
So which house is yours, Leanne?
I'm the one,
In the middle.
That would be the top image.
that one.
Yeah.
That's a top image.
She does have a pretty good view of the garage roof there. And the solar is not in this rendering, correct?
Correct.
But is it, I mean,
The plan would be to put solar panels in that roof.
On this roof, the garage roof.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's
And
not
if I may, I wanted to find out which way, am I going to be blinded by them? I mean, I know a lot of them. Yeah, they'll face me.
No, they'll face south.
The conversation is right now with the
Oh,
ARC,
sorry.
thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
so north is straight up in this plan, correct?
Yes.
Charles, are you continuing?
Uh,
Put them.
I mean, no, I appreciate seeing the views and that you did think about looking at it from those, the three adjacent uphill.
If I may add too, that is the garage, and the garage doors do not face the street, they face the motor courts. There are, we are investing in some pretty nice materials along that elevation as well.
Yeah. are you also, I mean, you've thought of every other square inch of this house. I'm sure you have a beautiful design for how the array is going to be done on the garage as well, right?
Yeah,
It's going to be as orderly and beautiful as it can possibly be.
2 rows.
Yeah.
It's a garage, so there's not a lot of plumbing vents or anything penetrating the roof. So we have a big open space to set really nice tight arrays without a lot of.
There was a chimney on the garage, right?
It's a mass wall, but.
Yeah, but I
falls
mean,
back.
that does provide some element that wouldn't necessarily, you could place as many as you can kind of in the shadow. I mean, it's not a shadow, but, behind that, so.
Is this view study as if you were standing 6 feet in height from the pad of that home?
Yeah, using Google Earth data as reference as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm good.
Okay.
Do you two on the end need to see these images? Have you seen what they're
We
talking about?
did.
You okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll continue with our commissioner discussion. Anybody else? I really like to kind of weigh in on this because I was very disappointed when, we had requested something that would be reflective of a more fluid design that was in some fashion responding to the site. And I do understand that there is some basic blocking massing that you have put together to show us, but it almost takes a little more effort to see how these spaces might be developed, what the opportunities are for view, massing, what the relationship is of neighboring properties that look onto it. And I don't think that happened. I think things were stopped when you kind of got to the point of just some basic difficulties and obvious challenges for some basic blocking like that. So it still seems to me that the approach here has been to take a design that, and I would start by saying, I don't think that anybody has had a problem with the specifics of the architecture and the overall aesthetics of the architecture. This is a problem of site plan. And I think that it is as though the design is deaf to the site that it's sitting on. And these are, I mean, it's a type of home that you would find on any level lot in Palm Springs. And I can certainly appreciate the desire to perhaps not have stairs within a home, but this is the wrong site on which to try to do that. So that said, I also, as I look at this and I go through the engineering drawings, this is an ambitious civil engineering effort. And, no matter what is there, you're going to be spending a tremendous amount of time and construction dollars over excavating, recompacting to get what you are proposing to do at these different heights. So I don't know, this is not optimal for that site. And I think it carries with it problems in its disassociation of architecture to the actual site. And all you have to do is to kind of look at the sections and the elevations on 201 and 202, 302 and 306. The dichotomy between what you've got there in section and elevation and what's really happening with grade is huge. And we have passed things before and lived to look at them, where a house has been proposed that is totally, on a sloping hill, but making no recognition of it and not taking advantage of the opportunity of being able to do that in Palm Springs. And I think that the results have not been good. So it's my 2 cents. I think it needs more study. I think it needs a more interested eye in making something work that has a more broken building massing to it. And I think that they would be discovering a lot of beneficial elements that should and could be part of a final design. With that, I would, I think, ask, is anybody wanting to put a motion together? And if not, I will. I would propose that we send it for restudy with, once again, a clarity that we are asking for something to see what could happen realistically if it did respond to the site. We got nothing back, and I would like to send it to be reviewed one more time and try to make it work.
I'd second that.
So we have a first and a second. May I just ask for clarification in terms of motioning this restudy?
Yes.
Can you be more specific about the kind of information that you would like to see for the ARC to consider?
Schematic floor plan, followed by schematic section of the level where they're calling out finished floor, existing grade, roof height. There has to be a justification for taking a building like this that's totally level and just pushing it up and then asking for forgiveness and a break with the height limit. This is a self-inflicted issue. And, okay, right, you need more specific things.
I want to just clarify one more thing. So are you asking them to further the analysis of the stepped version?
Yes.
Or are you asking them to take the version that's on one level and push it down, or?
No, take more, with more detail to a schematic level. It doesn't have to be, but it's got to be something more than just a massing diagram. And there are 1,000 ways of slicing and dicing this thing. We're looking at one. And I think it is a far cry from something that would be optimal, that I would call optimal. And an understanding of the site and the opportunity that's there, both for the neighborhood as well as the house.
I was just going to add the neighborhood thing. I think
Totally.
someone who lives above and has had this beautiful view of this beautiful rock, and now that's blocked by rooftops.
Yes.
I think that should be considered.
It's a developable lot. It'll have a home.
Yeah.
You're going to see a roof.
Yes, agreed, but I think taking some consideration into the neighbors would be a nice
I
thing to
think the
do.
view is still, there's still a very great view.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're looking at roofs.
So Member Bastian, what you're looking for is some additional three-dimensional studies of how this house is viewed from some of the adjacent homes?
Yes.
If it were stepped?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other comments on this motion? Does the applicant understand this motion?
May I make a comment?
Yes.
So we did in fact study multiple ways to do a step massing on the site. We do have more than just the massing study that was requested, and that, again, that was all that was requested in the last meeting. It was massing studies. We weren't requested to do schematic designs. It was in fact reinforced at the time that it didn't need to be anything more than just massing studies, which is what we studied. We did study multiple options. There are actually additional options at the end of the presentation that we did share with Alex that weren't presented. We presented the one that seemed, of all of the studies, the most reasonable, the most realistic to achieve by just dropping the primary bedroom of the home and leaving the public space at the level that it is, which is at an existing grade level. So we are following the topography of the site by dropping that bedroom per the study that we shared. That is hugging the site as best we can of the existing topography. Again, the existing topography of the site is a manufactured site. It has been cut. So this area that you're wanting us to explore to drop the home down onto is already cut into the previously sloped hillside. If that hadn't been manufactured the way it is today, we'd be working on a much higher grade there and working with a much flatter site, which would present, more logically us building this house that we're building. And we did not by any means design a house for a flat site and just drop it onto this site. It's very, very considered.
Can I ask you a question that I heard you when you started speaking just now? Do you have exhibits that Alex has here that answer the questions that they are seeking in terms of the additional information that they're seeking?
We didn't study an additional schematic floor plan. We studied massing of adjusting the existing floor plan to the topography.
With grade points provided as well. So there's not schematic floor plans that show internal space, but there are massing floor plans and sections that have established finished floor and roof elevations, respectively.
And that one section that we provided showed schematically that dropped primary bedroom wing as well. So the studies exist and additional models were presented. And we studied even beyond what was presented. And again, the three that have been shared are those that we felt were the most realistic or reasonable within the request.
So my only question now for you is, of those sections that you did see today, there are additional diagrams and study of this that you're specifically seeking, is that correct?
Yes. I mean, there needs to be some cohesive package. If I'm asking somebody to explore potential site planning on a site, there needs to be a coordination between what are the spaces, a basic distribution of space at a floor plan level, and then some sections to show views, site, sun angles, everything, to just give you a sense of how that site could be developed without one single building massing that's like lifted up, that's really detached from the site.
Okay. Does the applicant understand that?
I'm hearing it. I'm not understanding now why that was not requested in the last meeting, because what was requested in the last meeting was
That's
the
irrelevant.
massing
What
site.
happened at the last meeting is done. Unfortunately or fortunately, that's what was asked for, that's what you provided.
So
It
what's being
seems to,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. It seems like what I'm hearing is that study has compelled you to want more information pursuing that particular route of a stepped solution to this house. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly.
Okay, I understand.
So you're requesting a completely new architecture for this site than what we've presented today?
At a schematic level, yes. Yes.
Okay. I think you can call the vote.
Is there a second?
You have a second.
Thank you. Okay.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All right, let me find my list again. Member Dillon,
I would say no.
Member Castro,
No.
Member Elliott,
Yes.
Member Roseman,
Yes.
and Vice Chair
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
So we have 3 yeses and 2 noes, so the motion passes. So the motion passes to restudy the project as you described. Does somebody want to bring
Chair back.
Welcome back, Mr. Chair. We're on item 2B.
2B, or not
Or not.
2B. Item 2B, a request by 1784 Holding LLC applicant doing business as Palm Springs Mini Storage. On behalf of Grit Development, property owner, for a major architectural application to construct a 90,468 square foot mini storage building and adjacent RV parking lot located at the southwest corner of North Gene Autry Trail and District Center Drive, Zone M1P, case AR-2025-0030. And it looks like it is Mr. Malaker with the presentation.
Thank
Please.
you. So the scope of the review today by the ARC is to look at a major architectural application for the construction of a 90,468 square foot community warehouse storage and RV parking. The ARC is to look at the building design, colors and materials, lighting and landscaping. The Planning Commission has previously approved a development permit which set the site plan and building height and massing. The ARC previously reviewed this project on October 6th, which is a while ago. It's taken a while to get back to you all today. And so I'm going to sort of reorient everybody. At that meeting, you had comments based upon the building elevation, how the building addressed Gene Autry Trail, the breakdown of the massing. There were some faux windows on the building, illumination, and then the perimeter wall color around the RV parking. The applicant has revised the plans. In the staff report, there is a list of 15 items that they went through. I didn't include them all here because I don't think I'm going to go through them verbally, and the applicant will go through them also. So they looked at revising the perimeter wall and the landscape plan. So as I mentioned, it's a 4.46 acre parcel. It's in two parcels. The larger parcel where the mini storage will be is a 3.1 acre parcel, and then the second parcel for future development is a 1.28 acre parcel. The building height is 30 feet, and they are providing 8 parking spaces for the storage units themselves and then 41 for the RV. So looking at the site, this is the aerial showing Gene Autry Trail and District Center Drive. The Palm Springs School District administrative buildings are on the right, and then the airport is across the street on the left. So the tract map that was approved by the Planning Commission combined these 3 lots into 2 lots. The site plan, the overall site plan hasn't changed from when the ARC previously viewed the project. So the building is in the middle and the RV parking is on the south end. However, the building design has changed. This is a slide that the applicant has prepared that I included in here. You'll probably see this again. So at the very top is what the ARC saw back in October. And then we at staff had meetings with the applicant to come up with a design. And also our Chair O'Donnell had discussions with them to come up with a design. So the second from the bottom was an iteration, and then the bottom slide is the final that's before you today. So as you can see, it's evolved. And this is the side that faces the Palm Springs School District building. So this shows the loading dock areas as when you move your trucks in, you'll go into the building itself, the door will closed. The applicant has provided renderings showing what this is. So basically, and the applicant will describe the building in more detail than I can, but it is a CMU building with a skin that's metal rectangles and triangle with perforated openings to provide light and visual and movement as you go up and down Gene Autry. One item that is here is on the corners, the southwest and northwest corner are clear glass that will see into the building itself. So that is a feature that the applicant wanted to maintain. And this is a rendering of the side facing the school district building. One of the elements of the building is a night illumination. The ARC asked them how would this look at night. They're adding LED light bars that are at the top and bottom of the structure so that the light illuminates the building itself, and then the screens that are set 8 inches off. So this is a plan view of architectural drawing of the building itself. And this is an example of how the screens would attach to the building. So if you can see in the closer detail, it's 8 inches off of the building. a material board showing the types of block, precision block, Angelus oak, and then the perforated metal screens and the size of the openings. The landscape plan has been revised a little bit to add additional trees, clustering, and groupings as what was discussed at the ARC at the last meeting. And the plant palette are all trees, 24-inch and 36-inch box trees that will provide shade of the parking lot, which was a request of the ARC, and also shading along Gene Autry Trail. The perimeter wall, this is also a slide that was put together by the applicant. The top slide, or the top image, shows what was reviewed by the ARC back on October, and then other revisions, I'm sorry, no, it's the second from the bottom. So the top is what first came in, and then we had some meetings. The second from the bottom, which it was presented to the ARC, and then the ARC had comments about the colors and the striping, and the bottom slide is what they're presenting to you today. And this is another rendering showing how it will look with the step backs so that it provides interest and motion along Gene Autry and the landscaping. I included floor plans just for discussion if they come up in your deliberations, and they also provide a lighting plan which meets the lighting standards. So staff is recommending approval. However, the clear glass windows at the corners, the alignments don't quite seem right, and the ARC may want to discuss as a recommendation to the applicant. So this is the third review of this project. You have a couple options. You can approve it with conditions, or you can deny it, or you could restudy it. They have one more return if need be to the ARC. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Malacca. Questions of staff?
The CMU wall, is that located on the side? It's not in front of the building, right? It's
Right.
It's in front of the RV park?
It's the RV, so at the bottom.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it goes there.
And then is it on District Center Drive as well?
No, it ends here. It ends here.
Got it.
This is
Okay,
the
so it's just
wall here.
blocking.
Yeah, there's a gate here.
Any additional questions of staff?
Maybe I can ask the applicant this. Is the wall illuminated as well? Is there like landscape lighting that'll illuminate?
I don't think there is. No, they're shaking their head no. They have a presentation too, and they'll.
Okay.
Any more questions of staff? I've got one. Was there any physical material samples submitted?
No, I don't have a physical sample.
We have some today that will.
You have some today?
They brought them with them.
Nice.
There you go.
How about perforated metal?
Oh,
All right.
right.
Good deal.
Show and tell.
All right, well, if there's no other questions, then we'll invite the applicant to come up and make a presentation. With samples, yes.
And is that a tree? No, that tree's on the other plan. We've never had a tree.
You haven't had one yet, that's a shrub.
Oh, a shrub, sorry.
It's always a first.
Yes, be careful what you wish for.
Point
A
it
heck enough
to
time flying into here today.
slow.
Well,
Good to know.
state your names, introduce yourself, and then dive in.
All right.
Michelle Bach with 1784 Holdings, here as the applicant.
Hi, my name is Shane Swerdlow. I'm a land use consultant at Craig Lawson and Company. Excited to be working alongside Michelle Bach, and we also have Alex Matchner from our team here. They're both from the design and development team at the applicant 1784 Holdings. But we appreciate this opportunity to come back to you and share our design updates, which have really evolved significantly. We appreciate the thoughtful feedback you provided at our initial hearing and the subsequent discussions we've been able to have with Chair O'Donnell and with staff. But I think it really advanced this design in an exciting direction, a very unique take on an industrial or self-storage building. We'll walk you through the different updates that we've made. So as a recap, 1784 Holdings was established in the Sonoran Desert in 2013 and has grown to be one of the leading developers and managers of storage facilities in the U.S. with an increased focus on Southern California and the Coachella Valley and a commitment to high-quality design. And the slide shows photos of 1784's other facilities, which served as inspiration for the original design that we presented to you. It's a design that's received high praise in many different jurisdictions, but we've heard loud and clear your interest in thinking differently about the self-storage design, not necessarily looking at office buildings as our design inspiration, which is typically what the inspiration is for these projects, and thinking about the unique context that we have here in Palm Springs in terms of the built and natural environment. So as you all know, the site fronts on Gene Autry Trail and District Center Drive, and we're right across the street from the backside of the Palm Springs International Airport. In the immediate vicinity is an industrially zoned district, really envisioned as an industrial park. It's mostly undeveloped at this point, but the immediately surrounding properties on either side of us include the Palm Springs Unified School District offices to the east, and then the Palm Springs International Airport to the west. I think some things to point out, the school district buildings do have that kind of industrial office park aesthetic, but one of the dominant visual features from the street are the solar canopies over the parking spaces, which are predominantly metal. And when you look at the airport property across the street, most of the buildings along Gene Autry Trail are pretty utilitarian in character, but metal is also a very dominant visual feature, whether it's the shed-like structures or other buildings. So metal is important in this area, and that was something we took into account with this design. So our site plan remains the same as what was previously presented. It's really the architecture and aesthetics that have evolved. But as a recap, it's a 2-story climate-controlled self-storage building on the north portion of the site with RV storage to the south. There are 2 internal loading bays, a customer service office, and a caretaker unit, which are all located on the District Center Drive side of the property next to the customer parking area. And then there's the 8-foot screen wall with landscape buffers that would surround the outdoor storage area where the RVs would be stored. So at our previous hearing, the AARC feedback, your feedback focuses on several key themes, including authentically conveying the building's use as a storage facility instead of attempting to appear as an office building, revising the design to be unique to Palm Springs, distinct built and natural environment instead of a design that has been featured at other locations across the country. And we were encouraged to consider ways in which the design of the project could convey and respond to the spirit of motion that exists along Gene Autry Trail where people are driving by, and also shaped by the ongoing motion associated with aviation uses at Palm Springs International Airport. And we received very strong interest at the hearing and in subsequent conversations about having nighttime illumination integrated in this project. And we're excited to have incorporated that feature. Our updated design embraces the pure form of the building storage use without the office building features. For example, there are no longer spandrel glass panels, which some call fake windows. Those have been removed. Stucco cladding and brick veneer have been removed. So we're reviewing that underlying concrete masonry unit and embracing that as its beauty as a building material. All of the concrete blocks feature a dark onyx color, which is actually right here. We'll pass this around a little bit later when we talk about the building materials. Projecting approximately 8 inches from the building facades is a perforated metal screen, which adds a sculptural element that reinforces the spirit of motion along Gene Autry Trail and derives inspiration from metal, which is that dominant visual material in much of the surrounding built environment, as well as a signature material of aviation and aircraft, which are a big part of this particular location. We feel this 8-inch dimension for the offset provides sufficient space for the proposed light fixtures that would go behind the perforated metal screen and to allow for long-term maintenance of those features. The metal screen itself, as shown here, would include 5 rows of powder-coated square and rectangular panels, and they would feature a playful arrangement of 3 different colors: zinc gray, silversmith, and regal white. The zinc gray and silversmith panels would each measure 5 feet by 5 feet, and the regal white panels would measure 10 feet by 5 feet, so they would be more as horizontal rectangles. The perforations would vary slightly on the different panels. The silversmith and regal white panels would feature slightly more open perforation than the zinc gray panels to add some visual interest between the different panel types. And the perforations would reveal the underlying dark color of the building during the day and the backlit illumination at night. The block would be fully exposed, as you see here, above and below the panels to frame the panel structure. And the nighttime illumination would be achieved with LED strip light fixtures, which would be mounted along the top and bottom of the panel assembly. While we have removed all of the spandrel glass panels, so those fake windows are gone, we still have vision glass window elements, which are closely associated with the self-storage building typology and are very important for conveying this use to people passing by. So those vision glass features that you see in these elevations include display windows at the northwest and southwest corners of the building, and then along the entrances that would be at District Center Drive, there are glass Rytec roll-up doors, which are a really nice feature in all of 1784's projects. The main pedestrian entrance and then the windows to the caretaker unit would all have vision glass. So these are renderings that show the Gene Autry Trail elevations at day above and at night with the illumination below. And these also preview the enhanced landscape palette, which there wasn't a lot of feedback about landscape at our last hearing, but as we developed the architecture, we wanted to bring in some more sculptural landscaping and some more color to complement the neutral colors of the building. And these are views from District Center Drive showing the daytime and nighttime view. So getting to our materials, we did bring material samples with us. Michelle has a sample of the onyx block, and then we have the different colors of panels that would be featured. So again, there's 3 different colors. There's a gray, a white, and a silver. The gray would be on a panel with approximately 30% open area, and the white and silver would be on a panel with approximately 41% open area. So there would be a mix of panel patterns and colors. And we did a lot of exploration of what shades to use, whether to integrate color. We looked at...
Stop for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. These are aluminum sheets, but the panels are in steel. So
these are
I saw you waving it around.
These are the color?
It's
not going to be, and these are the
and
colors.
these are the colors. So they only send us the perforated sheets in aluminum, both the color and the material. However, when they are ordered and installed, it's actually a steel material, and they will be powder coated into those 3 colors.
Is this the pattern?
Yes. So they are 2 different hole sizes. So that one is the more dense one, and then the one that Vice Chair has is the one with the silversmith and white.
Is that the correct thickness?
So that's aluminum, not steel.
I know, but is it, that's the
I
gauge
don't,
thickness?
what is the, it should, we will most likely do them in 24 gauge. I'm not sure what that tag says.
Doesn't say, it's
How big
talking
is the
about the
panel?
openness of opening.
The panels are the 2 gray ones, 5 feet by 5 feet, and the white one, 10 feet long by 5 feet tall. Sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you for that commentary. So talking about the screen wall, the design of the screen wall has been simplified and updated to complement the revised building design. So the screen wall includes projecting bays that each extend 16 feet and then inset bays that each extend 24 feet. And there's a 2-foot perpendicular panel that connects the projecting and inset bays. Right now, what we're proposing is a gray stone color for all of the block that faces outward, so both in the projecting and the inset bays, but there would be variation in the texture to provide that kind of visual, a subtle visual change. So split face would be in each projecting bay, and then a smoother, or that's actually textured would be in each projecting bay, and a smoother split face would be on the inset bays. And Michelle has samples of both of those, so you can see that the difference of having the either split face or.
Face and the split face section. It's the same gray stone?
Yeah.
And the color Greystone that our team selected most closely matches the dark gray metal panel. So it's slightly lighter than the onyx block that's on the building, but we are proposing onyx at the 2-foot perpendicular segments just to have some accentuation.
We're just going to refer to it as your sport coat.
Inspired by the gray and black today. And I know actually I like the black accent wall in here too, and the stable is really nice. So yeah, it's a much simpler design of the wall. We had our last iteration, we decorated the building a lot, we decorated the wall a lot. So this is seeking some more purity in form and expression. And that's a segue into the evolution of our design. So at the top is what we originally presented, a very symmetrical design with a lot of additive features, the fake windows. Auburn was heavily featured, which is a part of a lot of 1784 projects, but we recall some feedback about maybe moving away from Auburn, which is what we did. So after the hearing, the first step in our design journey was taking the same materials and colors and mixing them up to try to explore motion a bit more. But in our conversations with Chair O'Donnell and staff, we were really encouraged to think more about the purity of a warehouse or storage building typology, think less about office building, and that really led us to eliminate the spandrel glass windows and eliminate everything covering the block itself. So we moved away from stucco, we moved away from some of the brick veneer that had been applied over the underlying concrete masonry unit and explored color in concrete masonry unit and how expression could be achieved with that. We landed as the onyx as like a nice contrast for the metal panels themselves. This third version you see, we were excited about this. This had some projecting tower elements. I think some of the inspiration of that actually came from City Hall's council chamber, which has some angled elements. And so we were thinking about motion. We were thinking about embracing block again. And these had some mid-century style patterns on the block. But in additional conversations with Chair O'Donnell and staff, we're encouraged to think about some smaller size panels, which made some more practical sense, but also provided the opportunity to achieve horizontal and vertical articulation, not without the need for these projecting tower elements. So that's how we landed at what we have today, and it has that kind of playful pixelation of the three different colors. And a similar design evolution at the District Center Drive elevation, so going from that office building inspiration to exploring motion a bit more and arriving at our current proposal. And then Glenn walked through the screen wall evolution. So we've really abandoned the mix of different colors and the Auburn. We previously had some breeze block that was mixed in, and we've really gone to just a more pure form that complements and doesn't compete with the building design. So our landscape plan, as I mentioned, has evolved. We still have an array of shade trees proposed throughout the site, mostly concentrated around the outdoor storage area. And we had added at our last hearing shade trees within the outdoor storage area to provide shade, reduce the heat island effect, and provide additional buffering. The shade trees we're proposing include desert ironwood, blue palo verde, fruitless olive, and thornless Colorado mesquite trees. And we've integrated some more sculptural desert plants into the mix. Because the building is so neutral, we wanted to bring in more color with the different shrubs, but also with the really contemporary design, wanted to bring in some plants that complement that spirit. So tree aloe had been added, as well as Oregon pipe cacti, and we continue to have California fan palms integrated, which we feel are such an iconic part of this corridor in Palm Springs. So that concludes our presentation. Again, thank you for the thoughtful feedback you've shared with us, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lyon, before we take public comments, should the committee ask questions of the applicant?
Did you have any other questions for staff first?
Any questions for staff? No. We have questions for the applicant.
There you go.
Okay. Who would like to start questions for the applicant?
I will.
All right. Vice Chair.
Well, suffice to say, I'm intrigued. I can speak for myself. This is interesting. And, okay, is the intent that the building does not show at all from behind the screen?
Well, the intent is to have that interplay of block and metal. So metal is the dominant thing that you see, but when the metal is up, you do see through it. You do get the sense of black behind it.
So I will see monochromatic mass behind it. And there basically will be no need for articulation of windows other than what you're showing on the ends. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're not proposing any additional windows.
Okay, so it's this monolithic thing that I just have a sense of that goes on behind there. Okay, you mentioned display windows. What are you displaying? And where?
So, yeah, the display windows are what you see at the corners, and it's a very important feature for any self-storage developer. What's behind them are the roll-up doors, and it's not a usable corridor, but you can kind of see here. It would appear like you're looking in a room, and there would be roll-up door, roll-up door, roll-up door, and throughout most cities, when you see new self-storage buildings, they tend to have, either at the corners or in different parts of the building, this glass view into these display windows. Now, a lot of cities like that because it adds more of that office building feeling for those particular cities. But in all cases, it's really important to show this is a self-storage building. People see that and they say that's self-storage. So that helps convey the use.
Okay, so it's subtle advertising.
Yes, it's a marketing.
The devil's in the details. So, when we look at the issues of like attachment of the screens, the reps who sell this help you do this, right? So give us kind of a rundown on how it attaches from the block building out to what? Kind of like a framework?
It's a structural framework.
Okay.
That sits, it's an entire web, structural
Yes.
web that sits behind it, and then it's bolted from the face of the panel through the panel into the block wall.
Yes.
So
All the way through the
the panels
panel.
all the way through the panel.
Okay.
So they're at each of the joints, so it's not like through the actual 5-foot piece,
Right.
but at the adjoining joints of each panel, then they are connected through these bolts.
Got it.
Into it.
But there's a solid frame?
It's not solid.
Okay.
It is a framework, like a structural frame, but it's
Like
not solid.
a grid?
Yeah, like a grid.
Like a picture frame.
Yeah. We do
Do you
have
have a
another.
cut sheet of
I
this?
have another property that you can see.
That was my next question. Have you done this before?
Yes, we have.
We need an address that we could take a look at.
That's Scottsdale, Arizona.
We have Google Earth.
Yes.
I don't know if it'll show up on Google Earth because it was just built. I'm not even sure it has a
Let's
CFO
find
yet.
out. Here we go. What's the address?
Michelle, do you want to show, it's just on my phone, but I did go to the site and take photos, but it's just on my phone. You can scroll.
So this panel, mind you, is a tan panel, and it is just one size, but.
One color too.
Correct. Yes, one color, but I don't know, you can like see that there is a grid behind it.
Behind the panel.
And that surface behind that building is a stucco wall, it's a tan stucco wall. So it's very much blending the whole color from the
Right.
tan panel, the tan frame, and then the tan stucco wall behind it.
It's almost like a drop-in ceiling grid of sorts. It's a minimum something or other
Yeah.
that holds
Yeah.
onto these panels.
Yeah.
Okay. These light bars, where do they sit in relationship to the front face of the screen?
So they are, they run on the top and the bottom of the panel.
Yes.
So the building itself is 30 feet tall.
Yes.
The panels span about 26 feet of that. So then just under the top and just above the bottom of that screen is this LED track with this light.
Is it
behind
made
it.
for this specifically?
I mean, it's made for outdoor uses,
Okay,
to
yes.
withstand the weather and outdoor conditions. We have consulted our lighting
Right.
company with this, and this is the light that they suggest that would adhere to the panels and
Right.
illuminate.
So it's
the
attached
best
to
way.
the
The
panel.
reason why I ask is
That's a cut sheet of the light fixture.
when we look at your renderings of it at night, that's very glamorous, and it takes great finesse to get that to deliver precisely, like what we're looking at here. So you have a lighting designer involved in this?
Yes, yes, they've provided all of our lighting that is proposed in our package.
Okay. to the issue of the panels will actually be steel, not the aluminum that we're seeing here. And they are powder coated with some sort of a guarantee forever, right? You know where this is going. Because it really, a
Manufactured.
failure of one of these parts in this very interesting approach would not be good. Go back, please. The signage that you showed on that corner there, is that what you're thinking? Is it that would be your,
Yeah, so our REIT does offer like plaque signage as well as channel letters. You know, we put that there as a placeholder because it is probably on the wall visually where it's gonna go. We try to find a high impact area where traffic's gonna be seeing our building the most. That's obviously our hard corner, closest to District Center and Gene Autry. We have an opposite sign on the south side that is proposed as well. And then, you know, if approved, we will want to propose a monument sign by our loading area on the opposite side of the building, but that's just a ground mounted monument sign. So ideally, yes, that's where we would like it.
what went into your decision about the density and the mix of panel tones? See, is different on every elevation, correct?
Correct. So we were really focusing on Gene Autry as our main focal point for the panels. It has the highest density, has the highest mix of colors. As you continue to wrap the building on the north and south side, and then eventually as you wrap around onto District Center, the panels start to dissipate in color. And if you go onto District Center, you'll see that there's a lot more of the white than there is the zinc or the silversmith colors, really as an effort that it just kind of like dissipates, pixelates out as you wrap around to more the interior, non-public facing side of the project. I think just an effort to help with, you know, we had a lot of comments at the last hearing about movement and both on the pedestrian as well as the vehicular and how fast people are moving, you know, along Gene Autry. And so that adding to there being more movement, more density in our panels on Gene Autry.
And when we first started exploring this, we did have an iteration that was the same density of design on all elevations. We also had a version that was only white, and there was a nice simplicity of that. There was something nice about having that density equivalent everywhere, but this approach of having it fizzle as you approach the side elevations was where we ended up.
Yeah, I'd also like to point out, can you pull up the district circle side?
Yeah.
That there is a spot in the center where there's no panels.
There's a good rendering that I
Oh yeah, it's the daytime and the nighttime one.
And
So
that's
here,
the back.
I
Okay.
mean, I understand District Center Circle, there's activity, the school district and all that, but for all intents and purposes, it's more the non-public facing side of our project. And so there is the inset portion where the panels, as they wrap around our building and then kind of die into that like furthest inset section. And that is just all the pure
Yes.
that is open. And that is really that's where all our entrance activity is happening on that wall. It's the 2 loading bays, it's the office, it's, as you wrap the corner, that's where the manager goes into their caretaker unit. So it's kind of all that hub activity, that more simplistic wall.
Okay, when you bring up this other beta that you have done in Arizona, I think that's kind of a critical piece, I think, for us to see at some point. And
We actually
I'm
have
gonna stop.
we have 3 properties that have that screen on them.
3?
I have been a part of 3 projects. 1784 Holdings owns one of those projects. They're all located in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm happy to send all the projects over. One of them is on our website since it is a 1784 owned property. The other 2 are just ones I've worked on in my past career. So
Are they all illuminated too?
none of them are illuminated.
None of them are?
actually. None of them are. So this would be the first one that we have illuminated, other than standard security wall pack lighting on the building. None of them
Member
have
Walsh, any further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay,
I
Member
didn't mean to
Dillon.
carry on there.
A couple of them. I'm looking at this image here, and I'm looking at this image in the packet, and the intensity of the light between these two images of the building at night is dramatically different. So the renderings we're seeing here show the lighting illuminating the building dramatically. And the renderings that I'm seeing in the package look like a strip of light at the top of the bottom of the building. So I'm wondering which one is,
That may just be copying.
Which one is the goal, I think is the
yeah,
question.
what's
I
the,
mean, the one in your hand is more of the goal. I think that when we wrap, I mean, this is rendering software. We're trying to emulate the best we can from the proposed light and how it's going to show on the building. So, I mean, there's
Well, if
some
I'm
slight
understanding correctly, the lighting is behind the
It's
screen
behi-
panel.
it is,
The
so-
lighting is actually glowing from.
Correct.
the perforation.
So if this was the building wall, you would have the light behind the panels. And it's shining down, it's not shining up. So the light is
shining
here,
down
it's
from where?
shining down. So the light track is on the top, so the light is shining down, and then on the bottom, it's shining up, but it's illuminating like the middle.
It's coming
It's
through
coming
the.
through this space.
right,
so
I
that it
understand
can
that.
shine.
And so the lighting that you're looking at selecting has a certain intensity and throw of the light.
Yeah, which this is all LED strip lighting, so we do have the capability of adjusting that and choosing that. I mean, we haven't, in full honesty, gone to that detail yet. We
Well,
would have
I'm
to-
thinking in terms of the lumens it's throwing out.
Yeah.
You know, LED light is very directional, so you can point it wherever you want to point it. But my point is that the dramatic nature of that image, I think, is more compelling than a building that has its edges glowing. And on that same point, when you have the signage, it's illuminated. You also have these two windows cut out of the facade of the building that are not shown illuminated. And my question is, are they illuminated in real life at night, or are they blank like this?
They are illuminated. There is, again, this project, we don't have any lights inside the building
Okay.
right now.
From a rendering
From
standpoint.
a rendering standpoint,
Okay.
but there are 4-foot strip LED lights mounted above the glazing on the inside, so that they shine down as
So
well.
what's being illuminated inside? Is it the
The
doors to the
doors.
storage units
Yeah,
themselves?
the hall itself is being illuminated. We don't have a light shining directly on the wall. The light is mounted above the
So
door.
it's sort of a glow.
So it kind of like glows the hallway.
So the doors themselves, are they a color or are they white as well?
They're not white. Ideally, they're the color of the REIT that is chosen for the property. And the REIT would be like Extra Space, Public Storage, CubeSmart. Those are storage REITs.
Okay.
They all have a color associated with them, and ideally, that is the color that the doors are.
So going back to an earlier comment from staff, the placement of the windows in the screen itself is not really aligning with anything in some of these images. Is that intentional? Because they look like one is higher and one is lower. We're looking at the head of the door and we're looking at the handle of the door in the other one.
Yeah, so it is intentional that they're slightly offset, again, to give interest in the wall pattern. They are sticking with the ribbon opening to try and mimic the pattern of the panels. They are aligning from a vertical standpoint. Again, the best we can in this render versus a technical drawing, but the vertical mullions are aligning and will, when we come down to full technical drawings, with the seams of where the panels change. Horizontally, they are not lining up where you can see in more of the flat-on elevations, that there are like two panels. There's a seam kind of in the middle of that north elevation where they're breaking part 2 panels, and kind of the same, the Department of Planning image is kind of covering that one up, but there's a seam. And that is really because the opening for the glazing is 8 feet, the panels are only 5 feet. Typically, our storefront window glazing is 10 feet tall, so we've already reduced it by 2 feet from an opening standpoint of visually how much you can see into the building.
Why?
because we were trying to get rid of the whole storefront idea and vision glass. So we've reduced it down to more of a skinnier kind of ribbon than it is like a full
So it has a
storefront
different,
image.
it has
So
a
it
different
height.
dimension than the panels
And the
now.
panels are 5 feet, so the glazing opening is 8 feet. So it is bisecting 2 panels. So we have it aligning one direction, but not both.
Okay, one other question. Was there any thought given to articulating the panels in terms of the push and pull of them in the facade itself, and as opposed to one long continuous surface?
There has, I mean, we have talked about that internally, about different dimensions of it. It really creates a lot of joints doing that, where you're pushing this out. You know, if we have them offset like this, do we enclose this side? Do they just stay offset? I mean, we have discussed it. We have discussed, is that something that we really want to do? I think as a team, we personally liked presenting one fluid skin, so to speak, and one flat pattern, and also not creating too many movement changes. Trying to stick, you know, we've talked a lot about more simplifying the project. There's already 2 different pole patterns, 3 different colors, 2 different sizes that are proposing it. Is by adding different elevation changes to it, you know, just adding extra complexity.
I would, the only argument I would make with that is I think that the delta between the size of the holes in the panels is not going to be perceivable from the street the way that they might be when we're looking at them this close, because they're very similar in size.
And I, from a scale perspective, this is a 1-by-1 sheet, so just know that they are 5 times this size.
Does the hole get 5 times bigger?
No, but I'm just telling you from
Member Castro, questions?
Yeah, so those, thank you. Those examples, are they the same color?
Yeah, this is the same color. This is
color.
aluminum.
Okay, I
It's
just want to
just
make sure.
completely unadorned, so
Yeah.
they'll be powder coated with one of
These
these 3
colors.
colors.
One of those 3,
Yeah.
okay. Just to be clear, okay.
There is also a plastic film.
Yes. And then, has there been thought about, so you explained how the color tracks will be behind, at the top and at the very bottom, and they'll be behind the panel, and they'll cast light down. In the examples we're showing here, the photo examples, it appears that the light is, I would think, spilling out to show the pattern of the building. And my concern would be, will it just stay behind the panel and therefore you don't get a sense of the pattern that's being shown so well here? Because if you have light behind it, will it just appear to be just one when you don't have any light? I'm not clear. I mean, have you thought of that, whether it'll actually be displayed this way? Maybe it's more.
Would you like, I mean, as opposed to the light covering the whole back, or potentially the light projecting onto the building instead of being backlit from behind it?
I almost feel, and I'm not a lighting designer, I almost feel as if the light needs to have a dual, casting light on both the front and the back.
Let me suggest, Member Castro, that we have this in just discussion, because I've got some experience with this.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the perforations, you had on the slides, these different perforations. Can you clarify how they're being used?
Yeah, so essentially we have these 2 patterns. One has approximately 30% openness, the other has 41%. This would be the 30%, right? Or is this 40? So yeah, essentially what you see here, this particular panel will always be the white and silver, and this panel will always be the darker gray. So when you see on this elevation darker gray, that's going to be using this right perforation sample, and anything you see that's white or silver will be using this left panel.
So they are the same hole sizes, but the density is different. So there is more of just the solid piece in this 30% versus this 40%. But the physical hole diameter size is the same. And these are the two most open steel panels.
Member Roseman.
More comments, one question. This is so cool. It's like totally different than the first iteration. Sorry, I like it. If I needed to store stuff, I would store it here. My only question is, and you will rarely hear this come out of my mouth because I'm a monochromatic girl all the way, but I feel like the signage, that could be some fun use of color there, where, you know, people put their signage, and I'm sure you guys already have that. My other question was, or thought was, why no lighting there? It feels a bit.
So there actually
like it's missing.
is wall packs lighting on the building. It's not being depicted in those nighttime renders, but there will be lights from obviously the office and the loading area in that area. Because as Shane had mentioned, we do have a photograph of our other properties, but the loading roll-up doors are glass. And so you can see in terms of they are illuminated.
So yeah, even on here, you can see everything that's under the loading sign. Those are glass doors in the office.
So there will be some sort
There'll
of
be like
lighting.
interior lighting that is illuminated. Plus, there will be like wall pack lighting on that portion of the building.
Yeah,
for
I love the lighting
pedestrian.
around the building, so I'm just missing that there. Cool, that's it.
Oh, you
This-
could
this
kind of
lower-
see in that
yeah.
middle image, the office
Yeah.
and the loading bay doors are kind of glowing back there. And then there's wall pack lighting in between them.
Member Elliott.
Just one. Is there any special framing detail at the windows?
At the windows. What?
I mean, is it just basically like the frame and the panel continue and then there's just no?
Yeah, then it just gets cut out and there'll be like an extra horizontal frame that wraps where the window opening is.
Thanks.
So you obviously won't see the frame between the panel and the window be fully open in that area.
Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. Are there any folks in the audience wishing to speak on this project?
We have nobody here in the audience. Is there anybody in the Zoom? Is there anybody in the Zoom room that would like to speak on this item? Please raise your hand. There are none.
There are none. Seeing none, thank you, guys. We're going to go into discussion, so please have a seat. Thank you. All right, member discussion. Let me start, since I didn't have any questions because I've kind of been involved with this project for a while. I really appreciate the way they've gone about this. It's taken a while to get here. My sense is that the committee has a few comments and questions and maybe things we can suggest for improving, but it looks like we're going in the right direction here. The process has been kind of long and getting to the point where we've got a building with a skin, and the skin is creating a pixelation and some variety on the facade, I think it's an interesting one. They've been encouraged to look at three-dimensional expression on that facade. It seems like maybe it's a kind of a bridge too far for them. I would have really liked to see these planes being folded and having more of a origami kind of texture moving across that building that would have changed as, you know, as day to night, throughout the day, different lighting. But, here we are. So I think my suggestion for the group as we go into this discussion is how can we improve what we have here so that we get both the aesthetic quality that is being initiated, making sure that the lighting is firing on all cylinders, and just making sure that alignments and other panel to window openings and things have what we think of as a good kit of parts, which would, in many instances, align and have just greater recognition of the color plus the transparent elements. So I'm starting it out with that, and I would encourage each of us to just jump into discussion here on items that you think are important for improvement.
I'm just worried you're gonna read the frame as much as you're gonna read the panel. And I'm also worried that it's such a thin gauge, this thing is gonna be oil canning all over the place. And so you're not gonna get a smooth wash of light on anything. The lighting is more likely to illuminate the frame behind the panels than the panels themselves. So I'd rather see it be a thicker panel, I think, and no frame, just pinned off the wall, even with little gaps. I think it is a really cool idea. And it is the devil's in the details. If this isn't detailed perfectly, then it won't be as cool as it can be. Seeing a little thin sheet metal sill that goes all the way around the window that frames it, or just some little bits of details in there that just take this to the next level and solve some of the technical issues that I think are going to exist with a thin panel with a frame behind it that's half open. And I also think that somebody else said it, but the change in material it's so subtle that you're just going to read color. I don't think you're going to perceive that you have two different shades of tone or opening. That's my take.
Are you saying that a greater differentiation between the aperture of the circles, bigger circles on some panels, smaller circles on others?
I think that the color alone could work. Just even if it's the same, if it's all the same panel repeated and it's just different color, that would be cool. It'd be beautiful. I just feel like if you're going to do two different apertures or whatever you want to call it, then they should be a little bit more pronounced than they are now. Otherwise, it's just kind of, I don't think anyone from Gene Autry going by at 50 miles an hour is going to perceive that.
Well, let's kind of take these one by one. So number one, frame, no frame. I think regardless of frame, no frame, and the oil canning question, 24 gauges is going to be impossibly thin. And I think one of the things is going to be noticeable is how much vibration you get on those panels in any sort of wind event. So my sense is that if you're going with minimal framing, you're going to need to get down to 14 gauge. So you're almost getting to 1/8 of an inch to span what you guys are trying to span, which is a pretty thick panel, but it would allow minimal backing on these. When we use 20 gauge, 22 gauge, we're supporting it every 24 inches. So we've got some kind of backing every 24 inches when we're doing 20 gauge. And just for everybody's information, 24 gauge is about as thin as, 26 gauge is as thin as you get, and the 24 is thicker and as you go down. So what I'm suggesting, you're getting down around 1/8 inch material to have it so that it's free spanning over those large sizes that you're indicating. There's going to be far less vibrations as you go thicker Some of that has to do with how it's pinned off and how it's attached. But, yeah, I think we can get away with, remember, Elliot, I don't think we can get away with no frame. It's going to have a frame. And I think, to my mind, the frame is almost an added depth and an added sense of veiling. When the frame's back behind it, you start to read a multiplicity of things going on. So I'm not so disappointed if it had a frame behind it. The lighting married with the frame, I think the biggest detriment to the light is going to be the dark color that you have on the building. It's just going to soak up. As soon as that light comes out of that fixture, it's going to, the only thing we're going to see is we're going to see what gets reflected off that wall. Some of it's going to try to go through the little perforations, but most of it's going to hit the wall and want to be reflected back. So if you're really trying to get that light to sheet and even have an intensity at the bottom and the top like you're showing, it really wants to hit a light surface, because you want to get as much of that light that's coming out of that fixture to reflect off the building and then come back through those perforations. I think if it were a lighter building, you'd probably be better off from an energy performance point of view. I've got some concerns about when we flip over to the other side, you've got that dark, dark color facing east and just re-radiating that, intense heat that's built up on that surface through the morning to midday. So you might consider, well, I don't know, I think we can make suggestions. I'm going to make part of perhaps a motion that the building just go with a lighter CMU back behind it. You could even go gray, or there's a white. There's a white cement, white block that would help achieve some of your goals. As far as perforation is concerned, you really have teeny holes. I mean, they're even powder coating, the powder coater might say to you, I've got concerns that some of these holes are going to get plugged through the powder coating process because the holes are so small. And I think the holes need to be a minimum of 3/8 inch. You can get the same percentage of opening. It would just be larger holes spaced further apart, and you can still get your 40% and 30%. It's just the holes move around a little bit more. The holes get bigger, but they just get pushed further away from each other. I personally like the idea of having two sizes of perforation. It'll give it a little subtle difference. The larger percentage of opening will allow a little more light to come through at night, so you'll get some modulation of light. So I think it's important to continue to have the 30 and 40%. What have I missed? I think the alignment of the clear glass into the display area inside, it would really be amplified. I like what you guys are doing with the horizontal ribbon. If that horizontal ribbon aligned with a couple of darker panels of perforation, it would accentuate and bring the eye to that corner more than what you guys are doing. Right? Imagine at the end of that clear glass, if it were a couple of the dark brown color or dark brown and gray, aligning with that glass would accentuate that opening. It would bring the eye to it, and it would give it a sense of dominance on those corners. That it's kind of struggling right now because I know you say it's 8 feet high and the panels are 5 feet high, but why couldn't these be 5 feet high and aligning with the panels? It would just make it more. It would make it more convincing. It would make the architectural detailing easier as well. Yeah, I've gotten into a lot of detail there, and if anybody wants to riff off what I was saying.
Looks like you've made a motion.
Yeah. Remember, Walsh, it looks like you've got some bullet points there. Why don't you
I chronically take notes. No, I really do think, though, that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you've got a couple other examples of where this has been done, and it just sounds like a lot of these things can be put to rest with, there are a few things to really hang your hat on. One, there's a lighting designer involved. Yes? Okay, so that's somebody who should be pulled into the mix to answer these definitive questions. The second is whoever is selling this system and the concern about integrity of panel fitness and
Oil canning.
Oil canning, how it reacts in wind, and what the specifics of how it would attach to this building and this environment should be able to be answered objectively. So there's more homework to be done, it seems like.
I think their structural engineer is going to have to certify this facade. So as long as it doesn't get too far away from what we're seeing, I
can see it going through plan check now.
Yes.
Do you want a motion?
Yeah, would
Okay.
you?
So before we get to a motion, because I
Yes.
had a couple of landscape things too that I kind
Please.
of wanted to.
I have my list.
Well, when you were talking was the time.
Sorry about that. I got carried away with
Okay.
architecture.
It's okay. I'm taking
But, so, it's not huge, but, shade trees, especially in the parking lot, I applaud using the larger 36-inch box. But let's put real shade trees in the parking lot, trees that are going to grow big. Swan Hill olive is never going to be big enough to shade the parking lot, just won't. So I'll give you some examples or some ideas, like Tipuanatipu, Corcus virginiana, Pinus halepensis, jacaranda, Shynus molle, Arizona ash, the Chinese pistache, camphor, Ulmus parvifolia, any of the, even
Palo Verde mesquite.
I don't want to do they're too small. Palo Verde mesquite, I think you got to go with a big tree. 15-year growth I saw on the plan was showing a 20-foot circle. 15-year growth, I'd love to see it be twice that size. Then we get real shading, which is great because this is an RV parking lot. Means, the RVs will be bigger than your Swan Hill olives forever. So this wants to be.
Excuse me. Would you like to cite a circumference or a size?
Could I just request to pick for between 2 or 3 species?
Yes.
Okay. Then I would do that.
Big shade trees.
Yes, like
Got it.
Tipuanatipu, jacaranda. Do we not like jacarandas?
We don't like jacarandas.
Okay.
They just always look feeble here.
Yeah.
You guys from LA love them, and they look beautiful.
Well, I'm a guy from Palm Springs. So Tipuanatipu, let's say Corcus virginiana or the Chinese pistache.
All right, may I continue with my?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
No problem, that's why we're doing this. Okay, I would move for approval with conditions being that staff would continue to review these items and approve, and here's the list. The exact panel perforation size and rhythm and gauge. Number 2, the light fixture
Can I hold this?
Please.
What do you mean by rhythm?
Spacing.
Open area.
Open and closed area.
Yeah.
So the aperture, or the 30 to 40% open.
Are you guys okay if we get real specific?
Can I provide some feedback to some of these questions?
Let's get this.
Let's get through this.
I just want to know, we have some concerns about any trees that are going to drop flowers or being messy, so we'd like to avoid those scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, the RVs that are being stored here are upwards of $1 million, Class A RVs. So we had to keep that in mind too. Not opposed to large shade trees, but they have to be clean.
Okay.
There were a couple of clean ones in there.
We wanted to make sure.
Are you guys okay if we make specific suggestions on the architecture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are things we can
I
work
do
with staff
have
on.
a specific answer to the 3/8 whole dimension panel comment, though.
Okay, well, we're gonna get through our motion, then we'll have some additional discussion, and I'll ask you to voice those. Okay.
Okay.
Light fixture.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, light fixture is your next.
Correct. Okay, the light fixture selection and positioning and interface with the lighting designer. Somebody needs to talk to them.
So it's narrow beam spread, it's pumping some lumens out of this thing, so.
And the position of the fixture with respect to the plane of the screens. Okay, reviewing other examples. All right, the panel to window opening lineup issue. It should line up. I talked about the gauge of the panel, the concern about oil canning. Okay, maybe I'm closing in here on landscaping. Consciously selected big shade trees that don't have a lot of droppings.
Do those work off the ones that you suggested?
Yes, I think
Those are all ones that are relatively clean trees?
Well, the Chippewana is not. The Corcus virginiana certainly is, the pistache is. What was the other one I said?
Those are the three, so
Okay.
we just eliminate the Tijuana and
Then we're.
they can choose from those two.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. All right, I'm gonna second. So we got a motion, we got a second.
I have one question. You had mentioned a suggestion about letting the back wall
Yeah,
color be.
in my second, I'm gonna ask the motion maker if he would include changing the block from a dark color to a light color to allow more of that nighttime reflection.
Yeah, I will allow the amendments.
Okay, so, all right, so we got a motion, we got a second. I want to have some further discussion. So what was the comment on the 3/8?
So the 3/8 panel only comes in aluminum. It does not come in steel. So we have it. I did not bring it for the purpose.
What manufacturer are you working with? Have
We
you?
use AUP span because it is a standard perforated screen.
Okay,
that
I would
they-
suggest that you look at McNichols. They are the largest provider of perforated metal in the western region. We use them all the time, and they've got a ton of different 3/8 sizes and openings.
It's the whole story.
So we'll look into them. Obviously, this will also come down to cost and our GC and whatnot. So we'll open. to
They're a great value
other
company.
manufacturers, but as of right now, the manufacturer that we are looking at, that size only comes in aluminum. And you're absolutely right that when we are looking at using an aluminum sheet versus a steel sheet, it is very subject to warping, to deterioration, to lots of maintenance problems, which is why we want to make sure we're sticking with a steel metal sheet to help with the size that we are suggesting and the longevity of the panel. And then I know that there's a lot of concern about the frame behind the panel as well. So we most certainly will work with our structural engineer and our, team. We have not engaged them yet since we are still at this stage. But they're very familiar with working with us as well as working with this type of product. We have another project that I had brought up in our earlier discussion that is located in North Scottsdale. It uses more of a colored panel than the image we showed you before. And it does have a section where the ribbon windows are cut out of it, so you can see how the frame works around it. But because it is a darker panel, the frame behind it is not as noticeable. So I do think it's also a slightly different pattern. It's not so vertically installed as the imagery I showed you. So, I believe that we can work through some of these visibility
Okay,
concerns.
that's what we want to hear. We want to hear you're gonna work through these because we don't want to make a motion and have you guys Yeah, all right, got a motion and a second, further discussion. All right, roll call vote, please.
Member Dillon,
Yes.
Member Castro,
Yes.
Member Elliott,
Yes.
Member Roseman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Walsh,
Yes.
and Chair O'Donnell.
Yes. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
So
So are
we
we.
take about a 5-minute break.
Okay, 5-minute break.
I think we're ready to start.
Okay. All right, we are going to get started with item 3A. A request by Red Tail Acquisitions LLC, owner for a major architectural application to construct 82 100% affordable apartment units on a 4.05 acre undeveloped parcel located at 305 West San Rafael Drive, Zone R2, case number AR 2025-0079, and this is Mr. Malakar's project. Presentation, please.
Yes, so the scope of review for the ARC today is 82 100% affordable housing units. The ARC is to review the building design, color, material, landscaping, and lighting. The Planning Commission has reviewed this project and approved a development permit, and it has also gone to City Council and received funding for the construction of the project. I would like to note that based upon mandatory state law for affordable housing, discretionary reviews cannot significantly increase the overall cost of the project. So any of the comments or recommendations that you make today, keep in mind that we cannot increase the cost of the project significantly. The proposal is an 82-unit apartment complex on a 4.5 acre parcel. There are 3 buildings consisting of 27 one-bedrooms, 32 and 25 three-bedrooms. The project meets all the standards of the R2 zone, including a density bonus for an increase in building height and a reduction of parking. The building height is 3 stories, 31.3 feet tall. The density is 19.2 dwelling units, so the density bonus also allows the density to be over what the general plan allows, and then 137 parking spaces. But the density bonus has already been approved by the City Council and the Planning Commission, so it's just informational purposes for you today. So the Planning Commission reviewed the project and made a couple recommendations. They're all here, and the applicant will talk to all of these. They have added landscaping to the retention basins. They have significantly revised the building elevations from what the Planning Commission saw. They've changed the building colors. They've added a sidewalk. They've enlarged the dog park. They've changed the balcony railings. The splash pad is one item that was not included in the project, and they'll be able to address that. They increased the shading and the dog park in the play area, and they revised the landscape plan to include 24 and 30-inch box trees. So looking at the site, this is on San Rafael on the north end of town. Virginia Drive is on the west or the left, and Puerto del Sol is on the right. It's a very narrow rectangular lot, and around it is other industrial type buildings that are to the north, and then a new mini storage lot or building that is in this left-hand side that is 3 stories. In looking at an aerial photograph from a different perspective, this shows San Rafael to the right, the north, and then the housing that is located on the south side, which is along West Santa Catalina Drive. This shows the houses that are there currently now, and then 2 houses that are currently constructed, but in this aerial photograph, they're under construction, which are the vacant lot and then the lot that's unframed or skinned in that building, that picture. The site plan places the building close to the street. The middle building is set back a little bit farther so that it provides interest and breaks up the long length of the street, and the parking is in the rear. When we first reviewed this project, staff was concerned about how to change the parking areas a little bit so that there's not fast speeds through the parking lot. So they've added humps or tables that will be paver materials, and that is what you see in each of the fingers. And then they've offset the one end of the parking lot so that it has a little bit of a curve that will slow folks down. The X's are carport shade structures, and then the trash enclosures are the darker boxes on the bottom of the site plan. And also there is two retention basins which are along Puerto del Sol, and we'll get better designs of that. So they are providing the 50% open space, which is a requirement in the R2 zone. And also a grading plan that shows street improvements. So all the sidewalks, curbs, and gutters along all three streets will be improved. So this section of San Rafael is lacking in connectivity. So the Tower Market that is farther down the street put in curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. This is another connection across the street where the new storage unit was built. They added curbs and sidewalks. The only missing piece is the industrial buildings that are across the street, and eventually that will redevelop and the street will be widened as much as it can be. Looking at building design, this is what was presented to the Planning Commission. This was the rear facing the parking lot. You'll see that the Planning Commission had some concerns about the height and the massing of the buildings, the colors. This was the side that faces San Rafael Drive. Once again, it has a heavy top portion to the building. They were concerned about the railings and the balconies, that a lot of times things get put out on balconies, bicycles or storage, and is there a way to kind of screen that? The project has evolved. It has gone through a couple revisions with staff and discussions with some ARC members, and this is what they're presenting today. They will have a presentation, and I don't want to go over the architectural details too much, but this shows the view from the parking lot. The tower elements are the stairwells into the first, second, and third floors. To the left is the dog park area, which has been moved from when the Planning Commission saw it, and the fencing materials that will be used. A slide showing each of the three buildings facing San Rafael. Once again, this shows the fencing that will be along the street, types of landscaping, the different colors and the different elements, the shade structures or the awnings over the windows. What am I doing? There we go. And then this view looking west, this shows the water retention basin along Puerto del Sol and how this relates to the street itself. One thing I would mention is that the buildings are not, some are 2-story and some are 3-story. So as you can see in this image, it shows 2 stories at the ends, and the 3rd story is to the middle of the building itself. So there's different variations of the heights on each of the buildings. This is depicted in this elevation showing what's 2-story and what's 3. So only the units that are facing San Rafael are 3 stories. So the back sides, and we have an image of this showing the building height. So the building height is 31.3 feet. However, the tower elements are at 38.4. These are allowed as they are mechanical screening for the roof equipment on the upper roof. Material boards, and the applicant will go over the different materials and the reasons why the colors were chosen and the different materials itself were used. And then this is the floor plan showing the first floor, which has a community room, leasing room, office, mail room, and then the top floor, which shows the third-story apartment. So the apartments don't go the whole way across the building. They're only in the centers of the building itself. So where it says roof below is the second floor, and the third floor is on above it. These are the different types of units, the 1-bedroom, 2 and 3. The applicant provided a site analysis in the Planning Commission discussion, and this project was appealed to the City Council by the residents who will speak tonight. And at the City Council meeting, they provided a site analysis of when the windows that are in the backs of the rear of the third-story units, it's a clear story window that provides light to a bedroom and a kitchen. And this is showing what a 6-foot person would see out of the window. The wall that is between this property and the residence to the south is an unpermitted overheight wall, and which is at least 8 feet, and then a corrugated metal piece put on top, and then ficus trees planted on the residence side. I would like to note that there also is a power line that runs along the back of the house, and you can see it here. The landscape plan is showing tipu trees and rosewood and palo verdes, all at 36 and 24-inch box trees. In looking at greater detail, this is the sort of amenities area on the corner of Virginia. The playground is at the north end, and then there's a dog park and several lawn areas. In the center, there's picnic areas, and then between the buildings are lawn areas. So the property slopes from this corner down to Puerto del Sol. So the buildings are stepping down as you go. So there's walls that are where this lawn area is, and the applicant can explain that a little bit better. In this is a better diagram showing the lawn, the dog park, and the playground. There is a lot of discussion of the plantings between the south property line and the residence itself. The Planning Commission recommended and the City Council discussed the types of plants that would provide screening for the the single-family houses to the south. I'm hoping that the ARC can come up with an idea as to what plant is appropriate. Moving farther into the site, this shows the lawn areas, the landscaping along the street side with trees that will provide shade for the sidewalk itself. And then moving on to the retention basins, they have added landscaping in the retention basin itself to help soften and provide some kind of shading or interest. In looking further at the retention basins, there was a lot of discussion at Planning Commission as to what these walls would look like. So there's a 4-foot retaining wall in the basin itself, and then a 3-foot fence on top. So basically, the at grade is at the top of the retaining wall, and then a 3-foot fence on top. There wasn't really greater detail of what that was, so this plan is a cross-section going east-west where the DD is, and then north-south on the south retention basin. The applicant has provided different types of playground equipment and shade structures that will be used. These are just for informational. They also provided a cut of the elevation of the trash enclosure and the carports that are proposed. They're simple carports, metal beam with a lid on top. And this is a diagram of what the enclosure would look like. It's fully enclosed with the roof and the metal doors. So concluding my report is that we suggest that you approve subject to conditions. This is the third meeting of this project, so there are 2 more possible reviews. So if your decision is to approve, you can approve with conditions, you can restudy it, and they can come back for 1 more review, or you could deny it.
And I want to just make a quick point on that. We are looking for an action tonight, not a continuation. The applicant, because they are doing this with affordable funds, are looking for a decision from you tonight. So you can take any of those decisions, but we are not looking for this to be continued further.
Thank you for clarifying.
Is the staff report concluded?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Questions of staff?
Are the playground and dog park requirements for the development, or are those added attributes by the development team?
There are amenities that are provided, and I guess they can discuss the affordable housing component of it. There are certain things that have to be provided in affordable housing.
That's what I was getting at, yeah. I was wondering if they were required for that purpose. Then also you said that the dog park was moved from a previous location?
Yes, the dog park was in the center of one of these buildings, between 2 buildings, and they moved it to the west end. So it enlarged it. Sorry, the slides are slow. Okay, so used to be, I think, here, and it's now over here.
Go ahead. Glenn, about 3/4 of the way through, you made mention of something about high windows that were letting in light. It just went over my head. I didn't get it.
And was that the old design, or is that the reflective of the new design?
It's right before that. There, what is that? There.
Right, so let me get to an elevation. So that's these windows here.
And you pointed them out because they have to be high windows or something?
We pointed them out because if you read the comments from the neighbors.
Yes.
They are concerned about views out of these windows into the backyards of the neighboring properties.
Okay, and is this a solution, or?
The applicant is aware of it, and this is what they're proposing, because they'll explain.
And your sightline diagram reflects the condition of the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Question, you had a cross-section or a diagram that showed the distance, I think, from the building to the south property line?
Yes. Get to it.
Okay.
132 feet.
132 from the third level
Yes.
portion, right? And that's where that window
Yes.
that you were talking about, right? So 132 feet from the south property line, okay? And that third level is where, there is a third level where the, I think, not the elevator, but the stairway, is that?
Yes, it provides access to the, so just consider this on top of the top one, so the stairwells are aligned.
Right.
And then the third floor is laid on top of that one. So it's only the front row of apartments that are third floor.
Thank you. Any additional questions of staff? Mr. Malacca, do you know why the retention basins have walls around them?
They need to retain and then release their water. And this is what their civil engineers describing the size.
Can you go to that? Can you go to that diagram, please?
So they have like a set volume they need to hold.
Yes.
And that's how they get there, is pushing it down?
Yes, and they have their whole team here, right? You can talk about that.
So it's not something that planning has directed them to do. It is in order to capture the volume that they need to capture in the area that they're capturing it in. it requires an engineering solution to get the additional depth.
Yes, and at the planning commission, we talked about what retention basins can look like. There are some that are usable space, like when you looked at Vista Chino, the affordable housing behind DAP, that is a very large retention basin, and it actually has pathways that go down into it, and dogs play, and we've added trees and so forth. So I don't know if that's possible here. It's not, they're not very large, but they are deep.
Okay. All right, no further questions of staff? Would the applicant like to come up and make a presentation? So that we keep this moving, what do we typically give the applicant? Is it 15 minutes, 10 minutes?
Usually it's 10.
10 minutes. All right, talk fast. You guys have 10 minutes.
We have a physical color and material board too. I don't know how, maybe we pass it around or?
Yeah, pass it around.
That works.
That works.
It's a big show and tell item.
There you go.
All right.
Why don't you start introducing yourselves and we pull up the slides? How's that?
That'd be fantastic. Okay, so I'm Bob Garrison, and I'm representing Red Tail Multifamily Development. And I have Travis Mahoney with Architects Orange and Opus Garza with Chris Herman Design Group. Okay, architect, landscape architect. All right, so thank you. Good evening, everybody. Architectural Review, I appreciate it. Been working with Glenn for quite a while now.
This is the clicker and point it at that laptop.
Okay, we'll definitely point it at the laptop. And then we've been working with Ken Lyon on the architectural revisions, which you saw, I think, in his, in fact, I know in his slide projections that we had a different looking design than we do now, and we've been with Ken for 3 months now. So we started in October, so there you go. Again, I'm not going to repeat everything that Glenn already said, but we know where this is. This is in the back parking lot area. Okay.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, it's a
And
little
you already know
slow.
the location. And this is along San Rafael. And I'm not going to go through the architectural discussion. I'll let Travis do that. Writing. Seen the floor plans, seen the floor plans, seen the floor plans, floor plans. Back elevation. Okay. You have your thing and then the landscape. Right, I'm gonna hold at that point and I'm gonna let you jump in now, Travis, and talk about the architecture, please.
Okay, well, the architecture, as you guys have seen, is a massing of 2- and 3-story buildings that serve 82 affordable apartment units. And if you want to, yeah, if you want to go,
You
maybe
can go
just.
up and stand
Yeah,
next to
sure.
it if you want.
Go with the clicker here.
Point at the laptop.
Gotcha, this actually shows, this diagram shows best what is the 3-story. There's really very little 3-story component to this building. And this was done primarily because we have the industrial buildings across that this building responds to. And then to the south, we have the smaller single-family residences. So the building is sort of responding to the environment and being sensitive to its surroundings.
Where are the windows in those?
The windows that the neighbors are referring to, there's 3 clear-story windows per building. And I believe it falls in the bedroom here.
We have a slide showing
There's
that.
a slide, and one of them is in the kitchen, and the other one's, I believe, in the
They're all
kitchen.
clear, they're all clear story?
They're all clear stories. So the sill is at 6, I'm 6 foot
Yes.
tall, so the
Okay.
sill's at here.
Wanna make sure. Yep.
So you're not gonna look down on anybody, unless you're on a ladder. I mean.
6 foot above finished floor.
Yeah.
Is the key. And let me just make this other comment. It's 2 foot high, 4 foot wide. There are a total of 9 of them across the whole entire 3rd floor in 3 different buildings.
You can
Are they operable?
Kind
They are
of
not.
see a peekaboo of it.
Fixed glass.
Yeah, fixed glass. Just a slot window, 2 feet tall by 4 feet wide. And it's mainly just to bring more light in on the 3rd level on those units that's south facing. Okay. They're gonna get some extra bonus light. So as you can see from Glenn's presentation, where we started is a lot different than what you're seeing here. And we like to think that the building and the project is better after listening to all the, planning commission comments, city council comments. We've had many discussions with Ken back and forth, and just really trying to dial in what Palm Springs, what would fit best in Palm Springs. And in the beginning, we had a lot of, shading was very important to us, so we had a lot of these awnings and cornices that unintentionally kind of dated the building a little bit. So we kind of did a whole refresh on everything, and we still value shading on this project. In fact, at one point, we were talking about calling it the shade at Palm Springs, because shading is a big part of this project now. The design language of these overhangs has a visual quality to it that kind of ties together circulation elements. You'll see these things appear at the stairwells on the south side, but then also on the north side, they start to articulate and create some interest on the building. During the daytime, they provide shade. At nighttime, you'll see they become placeholders for some sort of dark sky compliant lighting that can wash over the building, where we have provided accent colors. You'll notice in the elevations, they don't look as colorful because you don't see the ins and outs on the east-west patio walls, which you see in the perspectives here.
Do you want me to pass these out?
I actually don't think you need to, because I looked at their presentation, they should have everything they need.
Okay.
So again, animating the facade, these buildings are staggered end to end. We wanted to create some visual interest, so we created a simple color palette. There's 2 varieties, so the middle building has a slightly different accent colors. And we used the colors of the landscape palette that Opus and his team did to sort of respond, so it feels like there's an interplay with the landscape architecture and the buildings. Other than that, I'm open for questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, just, plow through, and
Yeah.
if you're done, we probably
sure.
have plenty of questions.
Okay. Well, when it goes to landscaping, I'm happy to hand over the baton to Opus.
Yeah, but stay here. I want you to go back to the clear story windows if you can, real quickly.
Okay, sure.
Go further. There's a
Yeah,
slide
there
there.
is, we can address that since it's been brought up. This is the elevation that you can see them. And they just sort of peekaboo up there. Again, they're 6 feet high sill height, so the top of the window is at 8 feet. So, the only way you're going to see out is if you're standing on a ladder. That's it. And it's almost 140 feet to the property line of the neighbor. So it's a distance out there, and their house is even further back. And there's landscape, and there's a lot of things that we've discussed. So, maybe with binoculars, maybe, I don't know, but I don't think from that distance it should be an issue. You did see the material board that I've been passing around. One of the comments that we got on our first round of plan check comments was, the city requested not seeing people's junk on their patios. So what we did is we kept some of the integrity of the design, but we put these metal perf panels, similar to the previous applicant, 30% perforations, so basically it obscures anything behind it. And we're thinking of that being like a galvanized Galvalume color, kind of an aluminum color. So you'll have another accent as far as materiality that blends well, I think, with Palm Springs. That is also in these columns at the storefront, near the amenity areas.
Bring it up the laptop.
Oh, there we go. Does this have a laser?
It does have a laser.
Yeah, so I think the rendering shows that better. Start to pick up some of that metal accent material there. That's pretty much it. You'll see the roof articulation. The massing is important to make this building. It is long, but we wanted to break it up with different varying heights roof elements. So that's it. That's all I
That's
have.
good, Travis. Let's go to landscape because I'm trying to respect the 10
Yeah,
minutes.
please.
That one for you. It's like a second delay.
There's a slide there for you.
So in the landscape, a majority of the shrubs that we're using are broadleaf shrubs and ground cover In working back and forth with the city, we've made some significant changes and added more groupings. We are using some accents like Hesperalo, agave, and Dazzlerian, as well as some accent cobble placed in strategic locations to enhance the vehicular entries and the pedestrian access to the buildings. Here you can just speak a little bit more about the amenities. We have a themed playground planned for young and older children, and then a fitness center with a shade structure for the active youth and more active adults. We have a large lawn area that we've split with a large dog park that has gotten bigger since we've moved it from in between the buildings. And then we have a picnic area with tables, benches, and coal barbecues, and then a shade structure located at a couple locations, which is this right here. In terms of the south wall, the initial plan was to stay out of that completely because of the easements and SoCal Edison's power lines that are above it. We generally try and stay away from putting any trees or massive hedges directly below power lines, just as a rule of thumb, because we can't always rely on a maintenance team to consistently be hedging those and control them. At any time, a maintenance team can be changed, schedules can get rerouted, and that stuff is up and growing. And then it's a concern for SoCal Edison to come in there whenever they get around to it to try and clean it up. What we have right now at the request of the city mayor, before we made the city planning presentation, what she wanted it softened with a large shrub. So what we picked is a desert cassia to try and soften that wall, because there is no plans for painting that wall or enhancing it in any way. And then as you see, there's a couple of access gates in between these, which were requested by the fire department for access for the fire trucks that are going to be coming along and parking on this side. There is no parking on San Rafael. These would be exit-only gates with a knock box for fire department to be able to get in. And then in terms of the basin, I was really only able to landscape the northern portion. The southern portion just dips straight down and has a lot of wall and depth. So any landscape I put down there is really just has potential of being drowned out by whatever water's soaking in the basin. On the edges, I've got some very large shrubs and some good sized ground cover just to try and soften that up. And then we've got some, so here's some of the plant material with bird of paradise, Tijuana tipus, leucophyllums for color. The acacias have been changed out and the palo verdes have been changed out to different species at the request of the city. And then here's some of the ground cover, which is the cordia, and then the Mingu golds as ground cover in the basins.
Have you wrap it up? We're at 10 minutes.
That's about it for me.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ken, do you suggest we take public comments now, and then we get into our questions of the applicant?
That's fine if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
All right. Here in the room,
You all just take a seat. Go back and
the first person we have is Cyrus Sackett. Cyrus? Come on up. Okay. Come on up.
So is the gentleman.
She's in a seat.
Okay. Hi, my name is Linda Sackett. I own the property to the south at 262 West Santa Catalina Road. The property was built 5 years ago, so the plans you have there are a little old.
Please sit, you're making us nervous.
I wanted to point out.
Okay, we'll walk on up there.
If you could bring the one up showing the new design with the 3-story stairwells. Everyone's saying we're so worried about the casement windows. We're not worried about the casement windows. We're worried about the second floor and third floor. The rear, please. Here. You can't really see it because this is all open. This stairway goes up to the second floor and to the third floor. So people going up here can view down from the third floor without any obstruction.
Could you show the site plan of that third floor also?
Yes.
Or the floor plan that shows it?
I'll show, I mean, it's the stairwell, but there is.
The third floor,
Well, there's a walkout.
There,
It
that's
used
what-
to be here. It used to have a grill that was like a screen at the top at the third floor level, so people going up to the third floor actually couldn't just look out. Now that's been removed with the new design, and they can just look out and look over our backyards. When we were at the city council, council members all understood the importance for us for privacy. It's extremely important. I visit there with my family at least twice a month with my grandkids, and they play in the backyard. And with no privacy fencing, which the city council said was really necessary, but it was the purview of the ARC, not their purview to decide on landscaping, they recognized that we really did need privacy hedging, and we had said about 13 to 15 feet planted. What we have is desert cassia. This is desert cassia.
She brought the plan in.
Yes, you brought the plan.
I brought the plant. I wanted you to see that that's what's going to be planted as privacy hedging. I don't think anyone would think that that is privacy hedging. It grows to about 7 feet max, so it will never provide any prevention from people on second floor balconies in the rear, the third floor walk up to look directly down on our backyards. It's not just mine, it's my neighbors. I believe William Phillips is on Zoom to come and talk. He has the same concerns. The people to the right of me, Steve and Henry, also have the same concerns. Ray is so disturbed that he's lived there for 30 years and is now considering moving. I support low-income, affordable housing in Palm Springs. I have absolutely no question that it's not needed. I agree with it. But as residents next door to it, I think that we do need some consideration for privacy so that we can enjoy our properties, our guests can enjoy our properties. And that's really the crux of what we're asking. It's such a small ask to have hedging. The second thing quickly was the trash areas, which have been put away from the structures right next to our casitas.
30 seconds.
Okay, they're next to our casitas. We get the smells. That's it.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Yes,
your
thank you for your
listening.
comments.
I appreciate your attention.
All right, who's next?
Thank you.
I can talk.
All right.
A couple of minutes.
Come on up.
I love you all. There's a couple of things on elevation we pointed out. They never corrected it. On elevation, on the grading plan, they're talking about 600. What are they talking about? We asked that, and they never corrected it. That was one on elevation. Their actual house is about 2 to 3 feet higher elevation than our houses. So when you add in 30 feet, it's 32 feet, 33 feet, 38 feet, it's 42 feet. It goes higher because of the grading. Number 3 is the trash. They just put it against our wall. And they said our wall is not permitted. First of all, when we built at that time, we had so many burglars. They would jump over the wall, like 6 feet wall. So we increased it to 7 and we put a metal barrier on top. And that stopped it. Every time, every week, we even had the wires. During the construction, they were stolen. They would come and pull it out of the wall. They take the wires and they go. So it was a bad area, but we loved the building. We loved them doing the building. And the plants, the power line is about 30, 40 feet high. So if the plants grow to 15, 17, 20 feet, it doesn't do anything. The hedges, but these are not really blocking that. And the last thing is the drainage. They're talking about retaining wall either side. You know what I'm talking about. Where are those retaining walls either side? How does the parking goes to that? They want to do the drainage to go into a pit, as we talked about. So those are not really clear. I don't want any drainage go against the wall because our footing is inside our property. The moment any water gets next to the wall, the whole wall will come down. I don't understand how the structural engineer or civil engineer doesn't take that into account. It has to be away from our wall if there is any drainage channel. That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, who's next?
We have some online members of the public who want to speak. Those of you wishing to speak in the Zoom room, would you please raise your hand? Gordon Phillips, go ahead, please. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, guys. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. My name is William Gordon Phillips. I live on Santa Catalina Road, directly bordering the southern edge of the project. I want to start by clarifying the status, I believe, of the existing landscape plan you have as part of the record. During the City Council appeal last month, the applicant testified that the landscape exhibits shown were temporary, and they would specifically work with you guys to finalize a plan that addressed our privacy concerns. City Council actually denied the appeal on the explicit expectation that the privacy concern for us and our neighbors would be fully resolved at the ARC level. Councilmember Bernstein noted that the privacy was a real concern here. Councilmember Garner stated for sure the applicant must move forward with hedging to protect our privacy from these 38-foot tall buildings. That said, the staff report that you have here, I think, marks the landscaping as compliant based on these desert cassia shrubs. To be clear, you can look at them. They're 5-gallon, 2-foot tall shrubs that grow maybe 5 more feet and take about 5 years to reach a height of 8 feet. Our existing wall is already pretty tall, as you can see, so this will provide no additional privacy. So it's not a fulfillment of those promises made to City Council. The applicant mentioned during the appeal that SCE height restrictions could possibly prevent them from planting tall trees. We actually spoke to SCE, and their right tree, right place guidelines allow for trees up to 25 feet tall in this location, actually. Even though the Palm Springs general plan policy requires that these infill projects provide ample landscaping for privacy, I definitely don't think this shrubbery satisfies this. So I hope you guys can discuss the species with the applicant too. It would work better. I think, as Linda just mentioned, the applicant presented a sightline analysis at the appeal showing a 6-foot tall individual looking out a clear-story window from the 3rd floor up into the sky. That sightline analysis made no mention of these stairwells that Linda just mentioned that go from the 1st to 3rd floors to give any tenant direct view into our backyard from the 2nd and 3rd stories as they use these staircases. While the structure of the 3rd story may be 150 feet back from us, these stairwells are only 102 feet from our property line. Additionally, the security lighting in these stairwells would also be a sort of source of light pollution in our backyards if not screened. I submitted some sightline analysis diagrams and drawings in an exhibit that hopefully you guys have access to right now. So with our existing hedging and wall, which are roughly 9 foot tall with our ficus, the upper 1/3 of the 2nd story will be visible from our homes, including that portion of those 2nd story balconies and any windows on those 2nd story elevations, in addition to the stairwells, in addition to the clear story windows. So we've got a lot of visibility into our backyard from different tenants in this building. As Linda also discussed, the trash enclosures are directly against our property line. That's an immediate health and safety nuisance for odor, noise, and vermin for our areas.
Would you please go ahead and wrap up your public comment?
Of course. Because the applicant admitted these plans are a work in progress, the ARC has full authority tonight to send it back to them to rework. We request that you deny the current landscape submittal and mandate the use of 12 to 15 foot fast growing trees to create a privacy screen for us along the southern border as requested by City Council. I'd also like to require privacy screening of the stairwells to address these additional issues.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else in Zoom land that would like to speak on this matter? Please raise your hand. Anybody else in the Zoom meeting that would like to speak on this matter? There are no further, oh, yes, we do have somebody here. Who is this?
State their name.
Sorry, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, go ahead and state your name, please.
Sure, my name is Henry Cholakian. I'm one of the also owners of the property on the south line of the new building that's coming up. And my concerns are exactly the same of us, my neighbors. If we could just please get some kind of a privacy. We're new to the community, and the only reason we moved into Palm Springs is to get some privacy and some peaceful time with our children from LA crowd. And now all of a sudden we can have a building that's going to be looking at our backyard. So just wanted to, just say that I'm, with the rest of the neighbors, if we could just get this privacy issue done, I'm also perfectly okay with affordable, housing. But if we could get just our piece of property, private. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the Zoom meeting that would like to speak on this matter? Please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, there's nobody else wishing to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. I'd like to invite the applicant back up to answer questions that this committee will have. Okay, can you guys clarify for us, is there any drainage that is intended to move to that southern property line across the parking lot?
No,
Where's the water going?
down the center ribbon.
Okay, so the parking lot is sloped up to that southern boundary and down towards the center of your drive aisle?
That is correct.
Okay. We're noting your concerns about the southern edge plantings relative to Southern California Edison. And this is a question for you, Mr. Malacher, if you know it.
Listening, yes, is helping him. Go ahead.
Yeah. 5, 6, 7 years ago, I had an approved project through entitlements on this same site, and we were required to underground the power lines along there. It was a huge financial burden, and one of the things that probably stopped that one-story project from moving forward. Why is this applicant not required to underground those power lines?
This is a 100% affordable housing project, and it would be cost prohibitive for them to underground the lines.
Okay. So the lines are going to stay, and applicant team, what is precluding you from doing the requested hedge that the neighbors are encouraging?
The image up of
Let me
the,
just take 1 second. May I?
Yeah, please.
Ask you a question? When you were talking about the power lines, were you talking about the power lines in this?
Power lines on that southern boundary.
Okay, those are distribution lines, so they're high voltage and they can't be underground.
Yeah, they can.
They're not.
They can be underground, but they're expensive to underground, but we take it the affordable is in the city's interest in undergrounding those would put a burden on the project. So let's get to the landscape question.
Sure.
can we show the image of the backyard that we had? My biggest concern is planting directly underneath it with something that I can't control that's gonna stop and put it on maintenance to constantly hedge.
So let me explain something about that also. For secondary lines, which are the lower lines, we assume those to be about 18 feet with measurement. We can have to be 8 foot down from that, has to be clear for fire reasons. That would put it to be a 10-foot high hedge, if we call it that. The wall that you've seen in the image there has an 8-foot block, you can count the number of blocks, and then a 3-foot corrugated metal on top of that. So it's about 11 foot. Our trees would be 10 foot, based on staying 8 foot clear of the secondary line.
Member Elliott, do you got any questions around this? You've encountered this before.
Yeah, I mean, can somebody just point to me exactly where the line is? Are we talking about, because I'm seeing, is it right on the property line?
This right here is the pole.
That's the pole. Okay,
That's the
so the
pole, so
line,
then the wheel-
line straddles,
Correct.
it's right on the PL. Yeah? Right above
Yes,
the PL.
yes, correct.
Good thing. I just saw that. It's the pointer, okay.
And so what we're doing is we're not going directly under the lines, we're inside the easement. but not directly under the line.
We're inside the easement.
Yeah.
Which lines are they though? Because there's SCE lines, right? Are they sharing with other lines, distribution lines, or?
Yes.
So is there SCE who's saying that you have to be under the 25-foot line of them, or what's the difference? Because
You have to be 12 foot under a primary, and I can't tell you what that height is, probably 25, right? So,
yeah.
So that's 13. And then the other one appears to be 18 feet off the ground, and that we have to be 8 foot away from, because that's the secondary line.
Secondary power, or is it Verizon and all kinds of little stuff?
I have to validate that at this point.
Yeah.
I have a neighbor who won't cut their hedges, and it's because they're saying they're under SCE, but the telephone is okay. Like they can go up to the telephone lines.
Yeah, I mean, the low voltage lines aren't.
They're not
relevant.
protected by
They're
them.
not
Yeah.
protected.
But, and I wonder, I mean, it did look like those lower lines were low voltage lines.
They could be.
Yeah. And so, you know, my thing is,
I have it in my
what, you know,
presentation, I think.
what are you gonna find that you can put in day one that is reaching the requirements that are being requested in the amount of planting area that you have?
Yeah, that
That lower line looks low voltage, right?
Yeah, it's probably data,
Yeah,
phone and data.
yeah.
or internet or something like that, communication or fiber, or whatever the case may be, if that's the case.
You know,
It becomes down to economics in terms of how many, because it's a heck of a long boundary line, which you acknowledge. I get it, I understand that, and I appreciate that you understand that. We'll analyze that, but again, it's not going to be a cheap resolution, and we have to manage that through a tax credit financing. That's the challenge for 100% affordable.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, there's 9 of these stairwells, right, total, along the whole stretch of the property?
Yes.
I need to get clarification on this. I'm struggling with it. So the attempt is to provide privacy for the rear yards of these adjacent neighbors via planting of some sort, and you have a conflict with the power lines, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did I hear something earlier that there used to be inability, as one would climb up to the 3rd floor, to see? There was blockage or something before? I'll just, let me keep going. When I looked at the plans, it caught my eye. I always the floor plan will ground you, just in terms of looking at why people do what they do. And there is, the spaces to get into the units are not great. They're dark, and the light is coming from you from behind, and you've got people above going into the 2nd floor and people going into the 3rd floor. And I wonder if there isn't a way that you can look at the stairwells as the problem, as opposed to trying to put blockage behind there. You got a couple issues. I think that those entries into the units desperately need a little bit of attention. If there was a way that you could bring light all the way down to them and provide some blockage on the stair, you could kind of 2 birds, 1 stone, something like that.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
I really need you to think about this.
Yeah,
Strategy.
so let me give you a little backstory. Originally, in the previous design, we had these kind of a slat
Well,
wall.
we have a photo of it.
It's like a slat wall, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look, I can do it. Right there, there's these little vertical bars. And
Yes.
in our previous meetings, it was determined that they looked like prison bars.
Okay.
So we were told to remove them.
Right.
So that's what we did.
Okay.
And so now, if you look at the 3rd floor stair, that landing stops right there.
Yes.
Okay, so that is, if someone's gonna stand there and look out, that's as far as they're gonna be. other than being on a stair itself.
Yeah, you can.
There's also a skylight right here too, because that was a comment that was
There
brought.
is. Okay.
That's what you
That was brought up in the previous meeting too, is are those
Great.
gonna be dark? So we did think about that and we introduced a skylight.
Is it a skylight or a light well?
It's a 4x4 skylight.
Okay, so you're worried about water coming
Yes.
down onto that landing?
And that is an opening at the top of the third floor.
In
I
the
got
ceiling.
issues though with the second floor and the first floor, because those are unpleasant spaces. And I really do think that the key to all of this business is the rework of those stairs and the stairwells and the privacy issue. Yeah, maybe we can come up with something other than.
Let me
something
suggest.
that reminds people.
Let
of
me
bars.
suggest horizontal louvers that are angled. So the angling will stop any views. So if I've got louvers that are angled, they'll let the sun through.
Understood.
Right? And they will stop any view to the neighbors.
Understood.
So where you have those, previously the vertical bars, just do angled at 45-degree horizontal shading in there. It'll amplify the light in there and it will block the view on your neighbor.
Yeah, I understand what you're
And
saying.
just-
That's an
just
easy
the
fix.
hedge planting, it just is never going to be successful. It doesn't sound like it, in terms of the
And
conflict.
we're also talking about 132 feet of distance. I mean, I don't know that that sight line is really going to make it a privacy issue. I'm just concerned about that as well, while we try to solve a blockage of a view of something.
No, we need to though. So.
No, I understand that. I feel as if some of these other solutions, like some type of louver or something that would help that, but.
I think the concept of the louver, depending on where the applicant feels on this, would also relate to the shade louvers that are over the various windows, right?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I am sure that you would make a wonderful architectural element out of that and could do it successfully. I still do think, though, that the other half of this that I mentioned was the lack of quality space entering the units on the ground level as you kind of walk into this tunnel, one-way tunnel. It really.
We had spoken about this with the applicant during our staff discussions with it, and we had made some suggestions about some narrow slots that would be on each floor. So they're not generous, they're not large, but they might be a 16-inch or something deep slot that might be 4 feet long. In some of those areas, in those back parts of that landing,
Yes.
where you might be able to bring light all the way down. So you've got a skylight at the top and you've got openings with railings down below. I know we talked about this and I don't know where they landed with it, but the other thing that I noticed is on the elevations, you've got skylights kind of out here, which really aren't going to serve any purpose because you've already got light coming in here through this opening.
Right.
So I think you could probably lose this skylight that's immediately behind this fascia, and possibly go in and do a smaller slot skylight here, or a couple of areas, and do those slots along the walls here that would get you light down into these two floors. Would that be?
I think that's a great opportunity to do that. And even if you have to shift some things around a little bit at that top level, I think that the difference between not having light down through that building and having it is huge. And it's gonna feel safe. It's gonna feel like, you aren't walking into this tunnel.
That sounds fair enough.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from as far as adding more natural light. There are limitations. Most of this is recessed, so you're locked in by the unit, so you can't really add lights.
No, I know, shoehorning this stuff in.
Except in this little, where's my laser? It's hard to see, but there's really just this section
Might have to
here
go
where
up.
you can introduce some slots.
Yeah.
But most of it's recessed, so there's really nothing you can do except bring in literal lights in that space, which we've done on our projects. But we generally don't do skylights for maintenance reasons, especially on affordable projects. But we listened to the comments originally, and these stairwells being dark was something. So we thought one skylight on the top would help mitigate that. But then
See, but go back,
Yeah,
like, what
there's
I had
this-
spoken with you earlier was the notion of creating a skylight here, and then on this floor, having a railing here, and this be open,
There you go.
and then go down to the next floor?
Yes, think
And
Swiss
then
cheese.
here you would have a slot,
Yep.
that the light could again come all the way down to the first floor, and all you're doing is creating an opening slot here, but the ability to get light all the way down through would achieve what your concerns are, wouldn't it?
Yeah, however, you have clearances and accessibility issues and structural costs to do that when you start tearing the floor out from, from the rest of the floor, you're
What's your type of construction?
type 5 on this project.
Wood frame?
It's wood frame.
So isn't that easy to just frame out and open
If
it?
it's new, it's not a
Yeah,
retrofit.
but we'd have to verify that there are clearances to do that, because if you look, there's not a lot of room. You gotta have a landing space outside the door. So we could study it, certainly, but I can't make guarantees that we're gonna be able to add any more quality of light in these stairwells.
If it's not a slot like this, I mean, there's also just the idea of possibly creating a 3x3 or so skylight here and an opening here. Then you still have your side door access clearance if you've got to have wheelchair access. Go back up to the roof a minute, or the third floor. If that were to be here, take this thing and put it over here and cut these holes in the floor so that you could get that light down in here and still keep your side, your knob side access for a person.
Ken, I'm getting a thumbs up, so we'll move on.
We will figure it out.
Yep.
On
Okay,
that,
good.
and I think those are good suggestions. I think the louver suggestion is a good idea.
Let's clarify that though, because if we do louvers, let's go back to the elevation. So the louvers would be where we had them before, what were called prison bars. We're basically from the top of this stairwell down about 5 feet. So visually, if you're looking out and you're standing on the third level, you would see, you're probably standing at 6 feet high. That's about where the bottom of that screen would be. So it gives you some screening, but is that adequate for what you guys are looking for?
A quick section will show you, I would not be worried about really dropping it down.
Agreed.
I mean, it's very much an element, you would see it in some hotel in Hawaii. I mean, it would just be like, boom, 3 stories up, louvers.
Yeah, if it's at the third level, I think we can work with that. But obviously, if the issue is second level windows, I mean, we have second level windows on this project. There's nothing we
I
can
don't
do
think
about
it's
it.
an issue
No.
with second level windows.
No, I didn't hear that.
Let's approach the idea of potentially moving your trash cans away from that southern edge. Is there another location for them?
Let me respond first. They are 10 foot from the property line.
Okay.
The analysis was done, was asked to look at that, was asked to look and put it down by the entry off of Virginia, which would have clogged up the ability for the fire trucks to get through. Also take the people that are on the, the east side, the north side, that would have to walk all the way down. So we're required to have them certain distances apart. We place them according to the way that they were asked to be by both the trash enclosure group and by our number of multifamily developments that we've done. So we we placed them where they are most accessible to all people, including ADA.
What about the other side of the parking lot, closer to the building?
Yeah. We want them over there, as does the trash enclosure. We want them on that side. Again, they're 10 foot from the wall that's there, from the property line.
But if the concern is that you're putting them in a position where they're accessible to all building residents, they would be closer on the other
You
side
don't
of the parking.
typically want to have a trash enclosure as your front door experience on these
Exactly.
buildings.
I'm sure you don't.
It's like the worst place you
That's-
put it.
I'm sure you don't want that out your front door. But I also don't think you want a garbage truck coming through your drive at 6 o'clock in the morning, going over speed bumps repeatedly to get to both trash enclosures and waking every resident up on the south side of the building in the process.
I guess the way you're suggesting is that we should put them over adjacent, right on our entries into the building. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, actually, what I would suggest is that they go along the street along Virginia. then you get them away from every resident. And you have them off a street where the noise and the smell and everything else is closer to the street, easier access. They're not coming into the parking lot. And which was why I was asking the original question about whether the dog park and the playground are required, and if there was a reason why the dog park was moved. Because the dog park, part of the dog park that I would wonder about is the dog park both a large and small dog park? Are there two halves to it, or is it one dog park? So you're going to put a Chihuahua and a Great Dane together in a dog park?
Palm Springs is typically all pit bulls.
It's all what?
Pit bulls.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, so we don't have the space to separate them.
You do between the buildings. You've got green, you've got picnic lawns between the buildings.
Between the buildings, we don't have the ADA access because of the slope.
The slope of?
Going from.
The site slope.
What's the site slope difference from east to west?
What's the drop between buildings?
3 or 4 feet.
So the landscaped area between the buildings is not accessible?
We can't get ADA accessible. I can't put sidewalks in there and get them ADA.
So they're not accessible?
They're not ADA accessible.
So you have lawns for the residents that are not accessible to any
We have
resident who has accessibility issues?
It's mainly aesthetic and.
Right, it's all aesthetic at that point.
Would it make any sense where you've got these two lawns shown, and I think on one of them you've got a pair of transformers, but immediately south of those lawn areas, would that be a possible alternative location?
Can you show us what you're speaking to, please?
The trash bin's right there.
Here, here.
On real high.
Here and here.
Carport's right in front of it.
I believe there's transformer where your left hand is.
Yep.
Those are
Could
transformers.
they go somewhere else? Could they go behind it perhaps?
Or out on the street?
I'm just wondering, because this is kind of a little bit of an opening spot. If this sidewalk works from a slope perspective, might it work to put them here?
Put the trash enclosures right
Yeah.
there by the buildings?
Yeah, well, it's between these buildings, right? I mean, you've got this opening here.
Yeah, it's typically not advised to put your trash in front of your buildings, even if it's in the space of an opening. I mean, landscape-wise, that's like the worst place to put them, from an experiential position.
Is it possible to make these trash enclosures fully enclosed as full-height walls? I don't know what's
Essentially,
required, I don't know what's required in terms of the fire code or anything, but.
Essentially, they are, if you look at it. We just have a floating roof.
But I'm saying if the walls go all the way up to the roof, where we don't have this issue of odors coming out of this thing.
It's a room.
You're gonna, yeah, I
And
think
you'd have to
that's.
condition it.
Huh?
You'd have to condition it.
Yeah, there's different sprinkler system requirements.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Let's go, we went through a whole lot of things right there.
Oh, there we go. That's what they look like.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah, okay.
Does anybody know how often Waste Management will be coming by?
We have planned twice per week based on 8 4 cubic yard bins. And typically, 1 4 cubic yard bin serves 10 plus or minus, not tenants, but units. So based on that math, it's, for 8 bins, it's twice a week.
Well, it seems to me like you guys have exhausted this analysis, and there doesn't seem to be any other places where this is conducive to go. Is that the conclusion we're reaching?
It's a necessary evil. You gotta put it
Yeah, we do have to
somewhere.
get rid of trash, that's for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to try and respond. You had it earlier, I think it was you that had the question. Bob, I think you had a question about, are we just doing the minimum of the amenities? Is that your question?
That was a question related, that I asked in relation to the location of the trash enclosures.
I see.
And whether the trash enclosures could be on the street rather than in the parking lot.
Yeah. Okay. So we didn't just do the minimum of the amenities. You're right, we had to do a minimum, but we did over the minimum. We also put barbecues in the dog park. So the minimum is required for the tax credit financing. So we
that was
did
my
that.
question.
You already knew that. I figured that in, but we also added the barbecues in the dog park like we do on other projects. So.
I think you've analyzed this to death.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. And, every single-family home has trash, and they typically keep those trash cans in their garage. If this thing is getting emptied twice a week, and these are the larger roll-off type of containers, they're going to have steel lids on them as well. So maybe we're worrying about something that's not really an issue. If these are going to be dumped or emptied twice a week, and they're going to be the roll-off type of containers that have steel lids on them, maybe this is a moot point. And I would suggest we move on. Just my suggestion.
Yep. Can we look at the elevations? And can somebody on the design team tell us what separates the white stucco from the colored bands of stucco?
You should go up, I think.
Any of those?
Want to go up?
So, okay,
You should walk up there with your clicker.
well, we were looking at a way to logically break the building up, so it wasn't just all pure white. That's kind of where we started from. And working with Ken, we were, suggested to look at maybe introducing a kind of an off-white color. And so that's where we were looking to break up the building. Where it made the most sense was at this sort of second to third level break, being the major area where we introduced that kind of khaki color, let's call it. And so that defines the third story massing. It really became about the interplay of the massing elements, the 2 and 3 story massing elements. And for the most part, you'll see it's white. It's on the north side. We introduced this color, but it also creates a language where that color appears at the ends of the building, where it terminates into these sort of tapered, covered areas that express themselves and wrap around to like the amenity space here on the south side. So it creates a language. There's a color that ties with the color of the stairwells, which are also those shading towers. So we've created kind of a subconscious level of language of shading elements are all this kind of khaki color.
That's what he's asking.
Oh, these?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I totally was off from what you asked.
Do you have
The
reveals?
vertical-
Do you have some kind of screed line or
Yeah,
reveals? here?
yeah, these would be reglets, and there would be screeds as needed for the stucco, usually 120 square feet or so, but these would be sort of expressed with the fry reglets that go up to kind of encapsulate the color and define it and create this rhythm and repetition of the accent colors. Yeah, that's it.
And is the building integral colored stucco, or is everything painted?
That would be a builder question. I'm not sure what they prefer to do, cost-wise, what makes sense. I've heard pros and cons on both sides, so I can't really tell you what ownership would decide on that one. Do you have a recommendation?
No, but these are well, we always go with integral color
Okay.
if we're going white, because it's bomb-proof.
Okay.
But then the accent colors, it's a color, right? And it's gonna fade. So then the question is, how often does it get repainted? It'll look pretty sad in about 3-4 years. It'll just start to get blotchy, and then it'll just start to really recede.
Can those be integral color as well, the accent colors?
Well, you'd have to go with an earth tone. I've not seen
okay. Yeah.
bright greens
Gotcha.
or yellows.
I think we have examples of this. All you have to do is look at the Saguaro Hotel, and they repaint
They
those
repaint.
colors every once in a while. I think it's a factor of reality of maintenance.
It's maintenance.
Yeah, I don't think we can split hairs over this kind of thing. I think you need to work around the issues that you still have architecturally and move this forward for them.
Okay. Does anybody have concerns about the perforated metal guardrail screens?
The balcony screens.
Balcony screens.
Do you have an image of that?
Sorry.
Do you have an image of that?
I have, it should be on the color material board.
I've seen it. I don't know if
There it is, right here.
folks have. It's so hard to tell.
It's kind of a blow-up detail of it right here. So it's your ironwork on the outside, and then the inset is the perf metal.
In small horizontal segments?
Well,
It's reading it as almost like a gray wood stacked on top of each other.
well, the dark lines you're seeing are actually the ironwork on the outside face. So this is just set on the inside, so it kind of creates a backdrop. What would normally be just air is now perforated metal. So it just screens that area, basically, without completely redesigning the balconies that we had.
Okay.
It seemed
How's
to
that
be-
affixed?
Seemed to be the best solution for not seeing what people have on their patios.
How is that
How is that
affixed?
affixed? How is that connected?
We would probably fasten it with, I mean, we'd have to do shop drawings, but I think there'd be a frame and we'd just screw it to the frame. They'd have to install that frame and they would put the panel in.
Does anybody have any concerns about the 30%? Should it be 15%? Should it be 20%? Okay, seeing none. Alright. Any other questions of the applicant?
I have some.
Yeah.
So do you feel like these renderings accurately depict your landscape design?
They're fairly close, but it's very difficult to get landscape in the rendering for the desert material.
These just feel to me like really thick, lush renderings. And when I look at the landscape plans, I don't really see that. So, I mean, like this one in particular, that's running along.
Centerville?
Yeah. That is layered and thick. And I really, when we look at the site plan, there's a lot of DG that I see on the site plan. And a big part of what makes that image look as good as it looks is the landscape and the layering there.
Right.
And so, if it's gonna look that good, it's great, but I mean, if it's not to that level of density, then this isn't a great I mean, I'm sure you guys did these renderings, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you follow his landscape plans?
We did. I mean, is there more DG on the foreground?
It can be, conducive of looking at it from an angle and looking at it from the top. I've got ground cover on the bottom, I've got shrubs on the top, but I'm also trying to create some negative space for maintenance walking around. So
Yeah.
that lush, looking at it from the side, it's obviously going to be a little bit more sparse in terms of the grasses. But I feel pretty good about the look of films that are going to be up against the buildings and the ground covers that are going to be in front of them.
Would you have any issues adding something along this
So that
south property line?
That area only shows trees.
Along the south property line here to get?
That whole side just shows trees. I have no shrubs even shown on
Oh,
that.
well, I'm talking about trees. I'm gonna suggest
okay.
that maybe we go in with some lacy upright, so that in addition to the baffling, there is some level of pretty fast screening that happens, like shoestring acacia is gonna stay about the right height you want it. It'll get there pretty fast.
Shoestring acacia, we were specifically told
We're
to
looking
take
for
off.
something other than shoestring
All right,
acacia.
well then,
Some acacias, but I still have problems with the heights going upwards of, past 25 feet without anybody, I mean, with the landscape itself staying at a relative height. That's always my issue, putting trees directly
What's your
underneath
issue
the
with the shoestring acacias?
They're stringy, droopy, don't provide any shade.
Well, we're not looking for shade here, we're looking for screening.
We're looking for, well, they don't shade much either. They
Well,
don't screen much either.
they provide something. They're putting a veil in front of something that's not,
40 feet tall.
If I was buying a tree, I would want to buy a tree that gives me shade. That also gives me screening.
All right.
That's my argument.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, what I'm trying to do is in addition to the baffling, provide something along that south property line that will give some screening versus a solid hedge. I was thinking, let's put some tree forms back there so that there's something there that is sort of backing that all up. It's gonna be hard to get there day one, but within a couple years, you could definitely have something here.
Could you see a feasibility to doing trees rather along the south property line where we're constantly discussing these power lines, but rather moving them in to this area here?
Fingers? Oh, to there, sure. Sure.
It's on their side of the fence. Then why don't we bring that up when they
Here.
grow their ficus?
Just to the north of the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just along here.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be.
I mean, that gives us shade to the building.
Yeah, well, then
which helps
that's-
with cooling, and it also
absolutely.
gives us shade to a walking area.
Yeah,
Would that work?
it would work for me.
Yeah, can we also offer up a secondary solution in conjunction with that is the neighbors to the south that have the existing ficus hedge of just requesting them to let it grow higher because it's being controlled at the height that it's at right now. There is in a better position to grow higher that isn't directly underneath the power lines, which our property line is.
So we're deliberating here. Thank you very much.
I hear you, but I hear a lot of,
If it were my home, that's what I would do myself. But, I think we're here to discuss this project. And, I think they have brought up legitimate concerns. And if you want to be a good neighbor, they're being supportive of the project. So I'm just trying to bridge a gap here,
So I have no problem moving some of the trees closer, maybe moving the ones that we have that are close further away and placing another one there.
Yeah, I think that is a nice solution because you get more shading.
Double
you
bang
get-
for the buck.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then we're away from the power lines. And, because the trash isn't getting moved, which was another one of their sticking points, it's a gesture. And I don't think it harms anything, and I don't think it costs any more. So,
No,
yeah.
that's great.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yes.
Anything else?
All right, let me ask, Glenn, did we get a building section?
Building section, it's
Yeah.
not in the packet. We got cross-sections of the building, which is on the grading plan, yes.
Okay, just quickly,
So-
design team, development team. There are a bunch of condensing units sitting on the ground right outside of your bedrooms, both front and back. Do you have any issues with putting those on the roof?
Yes. That has been an issue with our client, until they do not put them on the roof. We've got a number of them across the state. It's been an issue. Roof maintenance, et cetera.
Yeah, have you guys talked to your mechanical engineer yet? Can you use the suitcase size outdoor condensing units versus what you're showing on here, which are the typical 3-foot by 3-foot?
I don't know
condensers?
that answer from a mechanical
Yeah,
standpoint
it
personally.
would help, because what you would wind up with is a bunch of very slim units that can be stuck on a wall.
What was the resistance to putting it on the roof?
Maintenance, they got to get up there.
Maintenance.
Oh,
Maintenance.
Did you look at putting them on the second floor roof and feeding? You did?
Same issue.
Same issue, can't get there.
I tried.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Please have a seat. We will have hopefully a quick deliberation here and get on to a motion. All right, who would like to start discussion? I know we're all kind of worn down. It's 9 o'clock.
Worn down, and I feel like we're being pressured.
Worn down, we're being pressured, yes, there was definitely a directive to move this thing along or deny it, but don't turn it into a restudy. So we've got options.
I'm open to looking at some privacy screen, some type of screen at that upper level. I think we're trying to get a hedge at that height to try to minimize view impact we're gonna go in circles. I don't think that's possible. So if there's a way to minimize the view into, again, I do think it's a long distance, but I understand. And if it were some type of louvered screening,
Yeah.
I think that would help with the privacy concerns.
Member Elliott, what would the, other than cost, what would be the negative effect of doing a ficus hedge along that southern boundary?
I mean, there's no, I mean, that would be my knee-jerk reaction, is just put, like, you can get ficus that high, just need the room for them, 36, 48-inch box, they're out there. But, maintenance for that's not average maintenance. That's somebody,
It's twice a year out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. And, I don't know, and then you got to get both sides. I mean, you guys would have that on your side.
We have
So-
it on our side, but the block wall is against the block wall. The footing is underneath. The ficus does not grow because there's a concrete footing underneath. But the other side, it will grow. The power line is 40 feet up.
I'm just saying, you'd have the responsibility of maintaining your side of a 20-foot high ficus hedge.
Which is nothing. We have it on the street already, on our street.
Okay.
Ficus.
Yeah, thank you. Let's stop that discussion.
Yeah, it would be, there'd be, nothing but maintenance would be the issue, I mean, and cost.
All right, any other concerns before we think about a motion? Discussion?
Just the trash location. That's
Trash
bothering me.
location.
I'm bothered by the location and the answers that I got. And I'm concerned about the noise twice a week. Garbage trucks coming in and out of that parking lot, going over speed bumps repeatedly. I think there's probably a better solution, and I think that is something that could be looked at in a little bit more detail.
I've seen many condo units where literally the trash bins are, 20, 30 feet away. So I don't see what the problem is with just moving the bins right into the other parking situation where it's at and getting rid of a couple parking spots. It's still far enough from the buildings and far enough from the neighbor.
Thank you.
So you're saying just literally moving the trash
Literally just-
enclosure on the other set of parking spots?
Yes.
All right, Member Walsh, we do this to you just about every applicant, but do you have a motion that you can formulate?
I move to approve with the following conditions. Creation of a stair visual louver system that provides sight of line privacy from somebody entering the building and walking up the stairs to the neighboring properties across the street. Number two, figure out a way to introduce light all the way down to the first floor in the entry vestibule for all of the units as that occurs in what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, 9 spots?
9 spots.
9 spots. Charles, can you help me with the hedge planting this last go-round?
Well, I think what we had sort of moved towards was actually just adding a few more trees.
On the north side of the
On the
drive
north
aisle?
side of the, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so instead of putting a hedge on the southern property line,
Yes.
we'll put them north of the parking lot, put more trees north of the parking lot
Okay.
to provide more screening.
Blockage.
Yes.
Okay.
And focus around those stair towers, I think is good.
Anna, you just said something in terms of relocation of those trash units. And as I'm looking at the rendering, like where they would have that hedge, I'm not understanding where they would shift per your.
Literally just right there.
Okay, right next to it. And we.
Become more parking.
Right.
So we just.
Okay, so you get more distance there, and our architect made the point that, just has some ramifications in terms of nearness to units. Okay, but we can make that a condition. It's a condition.
Okay, so number 4 is to flip the trash enclosures
That
to
is
the
correct.
north.
And relocate them across from where they are now in the parking lot. If you're gonna swap parking spaces. I think I covered it all.
All right. Do we have a second?
So we're gonna go with these plants then?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and we got a second. We got a third. All right, further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Member Dillon,
Yes.
Member Castro,
Yes.
Member Elliott,
Yes.
Member Roseman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Walsh,
Yes.
and Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Passes unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. You are welcome. No, I don't know about that.
Thank you so much
All right.
for your.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
I appreciate
Our
it.
pleasure.
I could never.
Thank you for
Good
my
luck.
40 feet high and the distribution. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for your help. Thank you.
Okay, we got a couple of remaining items here.
Is this the plan?
Ken, I just want to, if we could get into this document, that the applicant will have 10 minutes to speak, or just as long as we have it limited, because.
And consistent.
And consistent, because I think we opened the first setup to just going on and on and on and on. And if we have consistency, we will truncate these meetings a little
I
bit.
think we can figure out a way to do that.
Okay. Anybody else on Architectural Review Committee reports, requests, comments?
Guys, we're not done with the meeting. Can you step outside so we can go?
Okay, Planning Director's report.
I don't think we have anything to report for tonight.
Okay. All right. So we are going to call for adjournment at 9:09, Wednesday, February 18th. Thank you all for hanging in there on this.
What time is it?
9:09.